I think it got a lot of attention because, in part, there was an HBO show that got involved too. It wasn't just a St. George event. I think that elevated why we were looking at this a little bit.
Yeah, the HBO show is called We're Here. In fact, I'll play you a little bit from their trailer.
This is the moment, baby.
The drag queens are coming. You would think we were like Jurassic Park, you know, where the glass, the water just starts shaking. That's our heels coming.
Question is, where are the gays hiding?
All right, so the drag event, number one, let's rewind a little bit. It's been costly for the city. As you mentioned, this was down in St. George. The St. George city manager approves a permit for this drag show. It was going to be in a public park. So once the drag show was approved, the city council wanted to reverse course. They were afraid that the content would be too mature. They wanted the permit revoked. They were concerned about the sexuality of the show in this public setting. They even addressed this controversy in the trailer.
Having this drag show will save lives.
I just want to be able to be myself.
Representation matters.
When a bunch of allies show up and are as loud, if not louder, that is powerful.
So this show was approved again by the city manager, and then when the city council came in and said, no, this isn't for us, this isn't for our community,
Right.
They essentially fire the city manager.
Yeah.
They pay him
A
basically,
hefty.
yeah, $600,000 to
Right.
essentially go away, to leave, and promise not to sue the city for leaving, but
Right.
$600,000. And I think now the federal judge comes in and says, yeah, you have to allow this permit.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're the community of St. George and you don't necessarily want this,
Right.
and the federal judge says, well, you have to allow it, what are you feeling right now?
You know, I mean, I'm going to reframe what you're asking. It's an event in a public park that you don't have to go to and you don't have to participate in, and has been around for a number of years and is subject to public decency laws. So remember, I'm going to resist a little the accusation that drag shows in and of themselves are inappropriate. I mean, you have to still adhere to the decency laws. And remember that this drag show is also made up of community members. It's not like, I'm sure there are people from outside the community, but this is also sponsored by the community. There's been lots of conversations with people who live in and around Washington County. Washington County is one of, we talk about this repeatedly, it's one of the fastest growing counties in the nation. Their demographics are changing. So, I mean, it's a tough one because I think, people feel so strongly about it. You're bringing in kids, right? You're bringing in how your kids are going to feel about these things. But you also don't have to attend it, just like you don't have to attend any of the festivals in town.
You are starting to see legislators, governors take a stronger stance. For example, Ron DeSantis signs a ban on minors attending drag shows in Florida. Montana governor banned drag reading to children at public schools and libraries. So it's very much becoming something that top lawmakers or governors are taking seriously.
Yeah, I mean, we should be, and it's important to see that this is really being driven by top conservatives,
yes.
Which is neither here nor there, except that it is an interesting thing that it's a matter of speech and decency and what's okay. And it's a new generation of conservatives that I've seen in the last few years. There was a time where Western conservatism was very live and let live. This is a little bit more of, I don't know, a question of what public decency is.
I think, does it change the conversation at all that it is focused, at least these Republican governors, that they're focusing on minors attending the drag shows or these drag show readings at public schools and libraries, where it's really focused on the children versus what adults do, which I would argue is where conservatives will very much say, if you're an adult, go ahead, do whatever you want. But as soon as children are involved, then that changes the conversation.
Yeah, I mean, Dave, my real reaction to that is I'm not so sure that they're not just using these children as a shill. I think it's a little bit of a red herring. that, particularly, let's go back to the local, the drag show in St. George. It is not going to be hard to keep your 8-year-old from attending that drag show,
When we come back, let's talk to KSL legal analyst Greg Skordas. And specifically to have the conversation that you were touching on is, okay, so there's still public decency laws that these shows have to adhere to. Well, I actually don't know what those public decency laws are. I have no idea what that is. So Greg Skordas will help walk us through that. Specifically, what can we expect?
Dave and Dujanovic.
Before Dave and Debbie get started each day, this station is all news all morning.
And later today, we follow up on those stories as you drive home.
Get important news all morning and all afternoon.
Here on KSL News Radio.
Removing the Bible may be just the beginning.
When the legislature passes a law to preclude certain conduct, sometimes it catches things that they never intended to catch.
In a case of unintended consequences.
This is actually something the majority of parents don't want to see.
Reporter Amy Kobabe goes cover to cover on the story. Battle of the Books. This week on KSL News Radio.
When it comes to your electrical system, do you know the warning signs to look for? What's up, everybody? I'm Mike Wilson with Any Hour Services, and it's okay if you don't know, but here are a few things that you might not even realize could be a sign of a bigger problem. Wall plates that are hot to the touch, discoloration around switches or outlets, if you hear crackling or popping or buzzing around switches or outlets, a breaker that trips a lot, switches that feel loose when you operate them, if your lights dim or flicker when a major appliance comes on, if your plugs fall out of the wall easily. You're not supposed to have to bend the prongs out on a plug just to get it to stay in the wall. If you notice any of these things, you should consider having a licensed electrician check your system out. If you don't know anyone, Any Hour Services has put together a radio-only special for any homeowners listening. One of our licensed electricians will perform a comprehensive electrical inspection and give you a full written report for only $29. But you have to mention this ad when you call. To schedule your comprehensive electrical inspection by a licensed electrician for only $29, call Any Hour Services at 801-443-7300. That's 801-443-7300. Any Hour Services.
If you love to follow breaking news like we do, register for breaking news alerts by texting the Cyprus Credit Union KSL text line. Text the word news to 57500.
I can't wait for what's next. Even with higher stroke risk due to atrial fibrillation, an irregular heartbeat not caused by a heart valve problem. Eliquis, apixaban tablets, reduces stroke risk. It's the #1 cardiologist prescribed blood thinner.
Don't stop taking prescription Eliquis without talking to your doctor, as this may increase your risk of stroke. Eliquis can cause serious and in rare cases fatal bleeding. Don't take Eliquis if you have an artificial heart valve, abnormal bleeding, or have antiphospholipid syndrome. While taking, you may bruise more easily or take longer for bleeding to stop. A spinal injection while on Eliquis increases risk of blood clots, which may cause paralysis, the inability to move. Get medical help right away for unexpected bleeding or unusual bruising, or if you have tingling, numbness, or muscle weakness. It may increase your bleeding risk if you take medicines such as aspirin products, NSAIDs, SSRIs, SNRIs, and blood thinners. Tell your doctor about all planned medical or dental procedures. Learn more at Eliquis.com. or call 1-855-ELIQUIS.
The strenuous conditions inside a race car is what makes our sport very challenging physically.
Joey Logano is a multiple NASCAR champion.
My lower back pain, my knee pain would all come in just through the grind of the race season.
And this is Joey's Good Feet story.
When I was fit for arch supports at the Good Feet store, for me it completely changed the game. Not only helped with my pain, but completely changed the way I feel and perform. As I learned my feet can help my back, I never really thought of it that way, but it really does end up that way, and my balance improved dramatically. When I left there, I was like, I gotta go tell my pit crew about this. With the arch supports, we can be better, we can be faster. There's only one thing I changed. It was just putting the arch supports in. I was hurting, I changed one thing, and I feel great. This is like the best kept secret. In one way, I'm mad about it because I wish I knew sooner. You can't just take my word for it. Go to the Good Feet store, try them out, and see it for yourself.
Stop by the Good Feet store in Farmington, Riverton, or Sandy for a free fitting. Call 1-800-NEW-FEET or visit mygoodfeet.com.
Experience the rail journey of a lifetime and see the Southwest like never before on board Rocky Mountaineers' Rockies to the Red Rocks route. You'll take in vast canyons and breathtaking mountains between Moab and Denver. You'll enjoy world-class all-inclusive food and beverage service on board a glass-domed train with a view unimaginable. You'll stay one night in historic Glenwood Springs, Colorado, and look forward to the next day's adventure winding along towering canyons, breathtaking plains, and magnificent mountains. You'll ride the rails through Ruby Canyon and admire the scenery through oversized windows, a view you'd never see from a car. Rocky Mountaineer is truly a once-in-a-lifetime experience, and they've extended their latest offer till June 30th. Save up to $1,000 per couple. And as a Utah local, you can save an extra $100 per person. Seats are limited. Visit RockyMountaineer.com before June 30th to book your luxurious, exciting adventure right now. That's RockyMountaineer.com.
With the three things you need to know this hour, I'm Tim Hughes. First, Hunter Biden is expected to plead guilty to 2 misdemeanor tax charges and a felony gun charge. The gun charge is likely to be dismissed. Second, officials at Flaming Gorge sounding the alarm over RVs left near the water with the lake level steadily going up. They say park them nearby at your own risk. And third, at least 4 people are dead. 5 people have been hurt after a fire overnight in a New York City e-bike repair shop. The blaze was reportedly caused by the highly flammable lithium-ion batteries. We are going to look for a high today of 73 degrees, and right now in Salt Lake City it's 56, as we get you back to David Dujanovic on KSL News Radio.
David Dujanovic. Special coverage of the top local story.
A federal judge said, you know what, St. George? The HBO drag show, it must go on.
I don't think we're ready for a drag show. There's been a lot of turmoil surrounding it.
You need to repent, sir. You're an abomination. Me? Shame on you. I really wanted ice cream.
This has been different than any other experience we've had in the history of doing this show. Is this on Facebook?
We can't convert anyone to gay. If that was the case, we'd be doing missions too.
So let me catch you up a little bit. There was a drag show proposal. There was a permit. People wanted to perform a drag show in St. George. HBO has done a drag show television series for several seasons, and that was a little portion from the St. George section. And Mara, as you fill in for Debbie Dujanovic today, this is used up a lot of the oxygen in the room down in St. George.
Right.
This has been going on for a while. So this is the second year. I mean, remember what the judge ruled on, to sort of be clear, and Greg will walk us through this, is it seemed like they put an undue test, an advertising test on, and the judge said, hey, listen, you've got to let this go through, which pointed out to me, I think, that maybe there was a cultural bias, a sort of bias in applying what decency was, as opposed to truly just a public standard of what we should accept in our community. One of the things the judge said is public spaces are public spaces.
Right.
They are not private spaces. Public spaces are not majority spaces. And even though this is me interpreting, but even though the majority of St. George may not approve of this, may not want it, that nevertheless, legally, this performance needs to be allowed by the law.
Yeah, and you and I'm going to blame this on you totally, Dave, because in the off-air conversation in between, you got me all whooped up. But, there's a lot of things that we don't approve of with each other's lives, right? It doesn't mean that I think they're bad or good. It's just not things I want for my children or not things I want for my community. So the question is, when does it go too far and do, harm, or when is it just a matter of personal preference?
Greg Skordas, KSL legal analyst, joins us right now. The federal judge ruled the First Amendment of the United States Constitution ensures that all citizens, popular or not, majority or minority, conventional or unconventional, have access to public spaces for public expression. Greg, what did you make of the ruling?
Well, I think it's consistent with the law. And what the judge said, and it was a federal court judge, you're right, who decided that the city of St. George, the managers there, the city officials, which denied this permit, did so illegally. And I think Mara sort of touched on this, but events like this can happen, and cities can regulate what we call time, place, and manner, but they can't just ban it altogether. I mean, we started with cases involving, if you recall, the KKK wanting to march and cities going, oh, we can't have that. And the ACLU came in, representing a group that they really don't support. But the First Amendment allows groups to and marching certainly isn't what was happening here, but it's a display that is protected by the First Amendment, and the city can regulate it, but they can't just ban it outright.
So speaking of that regulation, the St. George city council I read in a KSL.com article said they were afraid that it would be overtly sexual, that would be the theme of the show, and that overwhelmingly the people in the community would agree that this drag show would be offensive or lack scientific value, is how they stated it. What do you make of that?
Well, there's an easy solution to that, Dave, and that is don't attend it, don't support it, don't publicize. I mean, if you're a citizen of the Washington County and you think, hey, this is not for me, it's not for my family, then keep them away from it. That's an easy solution. But they wanted to have it at a public park, at a public forum. They're not doing it at a grade school or something like that where it's private. And so the city simply has to accommodate them, but can put conditions on. It has to be on a Saturday between 7 and 9 p.m. or you know what I mean, and it can't have a lot of loud noise or something like that. They can have regulations, but they can't just ban it outright.
Now, we should also from my point of view, I want to point out that the drag show also never tested any of these limits, to be clear. They followed all the city's ordinance rules. This is during the day. It's in a park. Because the implication there is that there was somehow that the drag show was pushing the boundaries. And I'm going to argue that I don't know that the drag show was pushing the public boundaries. And I think that was part of the assessment. The legal assessment was just that the rules, the public rules were met.
You're exactly right. Mara. And certainly the drag show, just like any other show, a fashion show or any other sort of civic event, can't have public nudity or something like that. And I think the people were afraid that it was going to become over-sexualized or would sort of push the boundaries of pornography or something like that. But but there's no evidence that supports that, and the judge was concerned about that. That hey, you're just presuming something. You're presuming the worst without giving these people a fair chance to have their show. Why they chose St. George, nobody knows. But now that it's become a fairly significant issue, they're really focused on that St. George area for the show.
You're gonna say you're not sure why they chose St. George in Utah?
Yeah, well, I'm sure the city officials in St. George wish that they were doing it in Murray or Logan or Cedar City, anywhere but St. George. But that's where they decided to do this. And every city, every county in the country really has regulations and has to allow for First Amendment use and people to display what they think is important to them as part of our constitutional right to have public displays and public presentations.
And Dave, I'm going to jump in and be a little spicy early in the morning and say, part of it is we have to give room for people to interpret their own. I said this. So listen, we have a history of dance in Utah that I love. I was a dance minor at Utah State, and I love dance. But, I didn't allow my girls to go into those jazz dance places. And this is where I'm going to get spicy because there's some really great parents out here listening to this who are going to be annoyed that this isn't what I liked because I found them over-sexualized. I found them a little too Beyonce for my 8-year-old. And yet I don't purport to judge that parenting. And I felt like this issue is one in which we have to individually say, am I judging? Am I distinguishing between what's okay in the public space or what's just not okay in my house?
Greg?
Yeah, I wish we had more parents like Mara, and it doesn't surprise me that that's your position, because parents who are thinking about this drag show and saying, well, I can't have my kid exposed to that, can say, my kid's not going. My kid will not be at the park that day. I'm going to prevent that. You can do that. You can make those decisions as a parent and still allow groups to comply with the First Amendment and still allow the city and city planners to comply with the First Amendment. Mara, I wish you could, post a billboard around the state just to explain, parents, if you don't like something, keep your kids away from it. That's the easy solution. Or even if you're an adult and you don't think this is appropriate, go somewhere else.
But Greg,
avoid the park.
We do have, and I'm hesitant to compare, the adult nightclubs or strip clubs to a drag show. Some people don't differentiate that, but there are times when we say, okay, this has to be indoors at a private club. This is not allowed out in the public spaces, even if you do want to, claim that it's protected by First Amendment.
Well, that's a different animal, Dave, and that's private versus public. I mean, if you have a private business and you have closed doors and people have to, present ID or have a membership or whatever the rules are, come in. That's a different conversation.
But
if
we
you're
wouldn't
doing
allow
something in
a
public,
strip show out in a public park.
Oh, I understand what you're saying. Of course not. You would not, because that's
so we
that's
put
by
parameters
definition.
on it right now.
Sure.
It's just I think the argument St. George is making is we're trying to expand the parameter a little bit more outside. Like it's akin to a strip club or a strip show versus being a normal parade.
Right, but
Yeah.
that
No,
is
you're
a
exactly right.
cultural judgment that they just lost. I want to.
But we always do that, right? We're always trying to find where that line is of what is appropriate for the public space and what is inappropriate, because there is clearly things that are inappropriate.
Right. Yep, that's right. And again, I think it's important that the judge said this is absolutely appropriate.
Greg Skordas, thank you. Totally out of time, but great conversation. KSL legal analyst Greg Skordas. When we come back, Hunter Biden, President Biden's son, has pled guilty or will plead guilty to not paying taxes and illegally owning a gun, misdemeanor and felony charges.
KSL News Time now is 9:30. I'm Tim Hughes with a look at some of our top stories this hour. There's a chance that the Cache Valley Mall could be leveled later this year. There's a proposal to replace the mall with a 4-story apartment complex, a hotel, and a 150,000-square-foot retail space. The Cache Valley Daily reports since Logan already has a Walmart, Sam's Club, and Costco, there's a chance Target could take the retail space. This is the 4th proposed or ongoing housing project in Logan. Our top national story this hour from ABC News. It's a race to find a missing submersible in an area the size of Connecticut. The craft was going to look at the Titanic wreck more than 2 miles below the surface. It disappeared almost 2 hours after departing from its mothership.
The search for the missing submersible includes sonar buoys to hear any noises, but a major hurdle, the size of the area.
The fact is, you're looking for something the size of a minivan in the bottom of the North Atlantic.
National Geographic editor Kristen Romey says GPS does not work at the bottom of the ocean, so a sonar search will be key. Coast Guard Rear Admiral John Mager says of the efforts,
the Coast Guard doesn't have all the resources to be able to effect this kind of rescue.
He says they are coordinating with the Navy and the Canadian Navy and Coast Guard, as well as the private operator. Brian Clark, ABC News.
And as Dave just mentioned, Hunter Biden and the U.S. Attorney for Delaware have reached a plea deal. New court filings show the president's son will plead guilty to 2 federal misdemeanors for failing to pay his taxes. He also faces a separate charge over gun possession that we're told will likely be dismissed. Your money at this moment, tough day, at least so far. The markets are down. The futures were also down all morning long, but the Dow still off 308 points. That's 0.9%. The S&P is down 32 or 0.75%. The NASDAQ percentage-wise losing a little bit less, 0.6, but it's represented by a loss of 82 points. Coming up, we will look for a lot cooler air than is normal for this time of year, and still a slight chance of showers. We'll check your full forecast next. KSL News Time, 9:33.
Early mornings can be hard enough, just getting yourself going.
We try to make it a little easier with news and weather from comfortable, trusted anchors and reporters.
Join us on Utah's Morning News between 5 and 9
on KSL News Radio.
Hey, folks, let me tell you, this was what my Friday was. Work in the yard, hauling stuff off to the landfill. And because I'm a great father, Father's Day, I took my 13-year-old. I'm like, you're working with Dad this morning. But the reward, the free frazzle. The free frazzle Friday, that's right. All month of June on Fridays, you get a free frazzle. My son, I just introduced him to the POG flavor. If you don't know what POG is, that's passion fruit, orange, and guava. It's a revelation. I'm sorry if your Maverick doesn't have those flavors. That is by far my favorite. It's outstanding. But all month of June, if you want to get and try a free frazzle, it's a slushie. It's outstanding. I love it. We both enjoyed it. In fact, he drank all of his and most of mine. But again, Father of the Year, no big deal. Free Frazzle Friday. Check it out.
Here at the Almond Joy Factory, where tropical vibes abound, we use soft, fresh-tasting coconut.
The crunchiest almonds and delicious chocolate candy.
Ah, but do you know what our most important ingredient is? Sometimes you feel like a nut.
Sometimes you don't.
Almond Joy's got nuts and something even way better than that. Yes, Almond Joy is made with almonds and joy.
Yeah, I'm so stressed. Our business is growing. We've got people all over now.
Ooma.
What is that? Meditation?
I'm recommending the Ooma cloud phone system with auto attendant and more than 50 features.
Ooma?
Yep, switching to Ooma is a cinch. Just $24.95 per month per user, plus taxes and fees.
Ooma.
Now you're feeling it. Find small business calm at ooma.com/radio. That's OOMA.com/radio.
Hey, if you're sick and tired of being sick and tired, it's time to change the game. It's all about changing the conversation. I did that 18 months ago with SOTA Weight Loss. SOTA stands for state-of-the-art weight loss because it is state-of-the-art. I lost 37 pounds in less than 90 days, and here I am a year and a half later. I feel better, I sleep better, I perform better, and all through a very simple process. The pounds and inches roll away, and most important, you get to that strong space where you feel like yourself again or like you've got that energy. And I'm not the only one. There are countless people across the country, and right here in the state of Utah, I love to hear from people who will send me a text or pull me aside at an event and say, Boyd, I did it. I did it, and it worked, and it can work for you. So as I always say, when it comes to your SOTA weight loss journey, there's no time to lose. There's only time to win. So start winning. Check it out at sotaweightloss.com, SOTA weightloss.com.
Traffic and weather together, again brought to you by Granite Credit Union's high-yield savings certificates. What kind of a morning do we have out there, Heather?
Well, things are looking much better now on the I-15 corridor, both directions getting into downtown Salt Lake, as well as on the 201 freeway, where we had some pretty significant delays early on from a stalled vehicle. But we're still a bit slow on I-215's east belt. This is northbound, trying to get toward 4500 south. It's due to construction and lane restrictions. Electric problems? Want to light up your world? Call the electricians with the online guarantee. Call Mr. Sparky at 8888-SPARKY. That's 8888-SPARKY. Heather Kelly in the KSL Traffic Center.
If you have been growing tired of this pattern of afternoon thunder showers, there's some relief coming as early as tomorrow, and a warming trend that'll take us from 73 today to 90 by Monday. And the weekend just looks spectacular. 82 on Saturday, 88 on Sunday. No chance of any precipitation. So finally, summer-like conditions coming your way. Right now, it's mostly cloudy downtown, however, and 56 degrees. At KSL News Radio, 102.7 FM, 1160 AM, and KSLNewsRadio.com. This is your all-day companion for news.
Dave and Dujanovic. Special coverage of the top national story.
The president's son, Hunter Biden. Yeah, that we have Hunter Biden news. I'm always hesitant to talk about like the family members of the president. But there's no avoiding talking about Hunter Biden because he is in every news headline, it seems, every week.
He is. And for several different reasons. Today is specific because they've reached some charges.
Yeah, this was something I had no idea. I had no idea this was even on the docket for Hunter Biden, but he pleads guilty in tax and gun case. These were charges after a federal investigation, a couple of misdemeanor charges, and then one felony gun charge. It's a little bit hard to keep track of all the things going on with Hunter Biden.
It's so true. So the two misdemeanors were the late taxes, and the felony gun charge was when he registered to buy a gun, he did not acknowledge that he was a drug addict.
Let's get more from ABC News.
Hunter Biden, President Biden's son, has agreed to plead guilty to a pair of tax-related misdemeanors and enter a pretrial diversion related to a felony gun charge. This agreement made public after negotiations with the U.S. Attorney's Office in Delaware. The 53-year-old's going to acknowledge a failure to pay taxes on income received in 2017 and 2018. In exchange, prosecutors will recommend probation for Biden. The felony gun charge alleges Biden violated the law by possessing a firearm while using a controlled substance. Biden has been open about his history of addiction. The pretrial diversion means he will not be required to enter a plea, and prosecutors will drop charges if he adheres to terms for a period of time. This investigation has been going on for more than 5 years. In March, Attorney General Merrick Garland said the federal government is not involved.
I have pledged not to interfere with that investigation, and I have carried through on my pledge.
Brian Clark, ABC News.
Mara, filling in for Debbie Dujanovic today, who is off, by the way. Hunter Biden, is he being treated fairly? Because I think this brings up a good conversation, because we're having this very conversation with President Trump. You know, he doesn't get special treatment because he's a politician. Well, how about Hunter Biden? Does he get special treatment because he's the president's son?
So I think, in both instances, in the Trump and the Biden instance, it's fair to say they're different, right? They're not by treated fairly. Are they treated like you and I? For sure not. But is it indiscriminate? One interesting thing about this Department of Justice investigation into Hunter Biden is that David Weiss is leading it, and he is a Trump appointee. So Merrick Garland, as we just heard in the clip, said, hey, listen, I'm going to have nothing to do with this. The special counsel in this instance was a Trump appointee. But, I don't know, that's not going to satisfy everybody listening to it. And certainly these are the first charges that Hunter Biden has coming, probably not the last charges.
Yeah, and again, I had totally lost track of this.
Right.
I didn't realize he was late on his taxes. You say late on his taxes. This was 6 years ago. Not even 6 years ago. There's late on taxes, evading taxes. I'm not sure what qualifies as what, but I know personally, if I'm 6 years late on my taxes, I probably don't get a slap on the wrist. And I think it was over $1 million, $1.7 million.
Yeah. And again, it is a misdemeanor charge, though, just in terms of where the rule of law has taken this infraction.
Yeah. The gun charge, again, you touched on it, but it was where he applied for a gun or he got a gun. And on the questionnaire, to simplify it, on the questionnaire it asks if you're taking drugs, if you're a drug addict, which Hunter Biden has been very open with, maybe not all his choice. Reporting revealed a lot of this, but he certainly has struggled with addiction for years and years, and nevertheless, he didn't say this when he obtained that gun.
Yeah, and that was an outright lie. I mean, what you do see in this is this was a negotiated settlement, right? We should be clear.
Yeah.
He came forward of his own, that in the negotiation, and what he clearly was trying to avoid is jail time. So, these were in terms of, did he get charged? Yeah, he got charged with some really serious crimes. He has been able to plead down. That is pretty normal behavior. What you're seeing from both sides, though, is President Biden's camp from the White House just said, hey, I support my son, and didn't speak to it. And the members, particularly of the House Republicans, are calling an all-out battle, and they are definitely claiming there's not fairness in this, that Hunter Biden is getting easy treatment.
Well, and it was interesting, as you said, regarding President Trump and Hunter Biden, are they treated the same as you and I would be?
Right.
The answer is probably no. Well, I think that kind of goes to the heart of it. Well, which is it? Is it the rule of law for the rich and the powerful, and then you and I, who are just, broke regular Americans, are we held to the same standard, or do we get the same accommodations? Now, if you're wondering, okay, I didn't know about the taxes, I didn't know about the gun stuff. What I know about is the Hunter laptop. I know about Burisma. So where's that? Is this included in this plea deal at all? This is ABC News.
The questions about Burisma and Hunter Biden getting money from China and Republican investigations of Hunter Biden and Joe Biden with regard to money coming from abroad, those are entirely separate issues and investigations. And those in the last 6 months to a year have become much more important to Republican leaders than this criminal investigation.
There's a Stormy Daniels payoff for President Trump. There is, the top secret classified documents. Both had indictments, but they're totally different things. And that's what they're saying about Hunter Biden when it comes to the laptop, when it comes to the Burisma holdings. That's totally different from what just came down here.
Yeah, that's right. So he'll still be seeing more and more charges. And certainly, He is, and this is an interesting question about family members, he is certainly part of the political process in terms of accusations and name-calling about the faith and goodwill of Joe Biden, the president.
Okay, final little gee whiz as we go to break. You may not have known that, listen, we have had presidents that have sons and daughters and brothers and family members that have been a drag on the presidency. You may not have known that John Quincy Adams, John Adams' son, future president, was thrown out of Harvard for drinking and partying too much.
Did not know that.
Did you remember that Billy Carter, Jimmy Carter's brother, once accepted $220,000 from the Libyan government as a paid agent?
I had forgotten, and this shocked me. Libya. $220,000.
Sorry. It was a quote-unquote, it was a loan. Yeah, yes, sure it was. Right. Ronald Reagan's daughter, Patty Davis, spoke out against her father's politics, published a tell-all book, posed for Playboy. That was something, that obviously President Reagan, that was a handful while he was serving.
Right.
Roger Clinton, Bill Clinton's half-brother.
He was a mess, right?
Yeah, all sorts of drug-related
I love this.
incidents.
His Secret Service name was Headache. That sounds right. And then, here's a little twist on your list. George H.W. Bush, he had a wild, the Bushes had a wild son. I think we all maybe remember him. He was President Bush.
Yeah.
I mean,
Lots
early on, President
right?
Bush had a partying history, and then we elected him president.
Up next, former President Donald Trump was on Fox News over the weekend. If you're wondering if that was a softball of an interview with a whole bunch of easy questions, no, that is not how it went down. We'll listen to that next.
Dave and Dujanovic.
Hi, it's Tim Hughes and Amanda Dixon.
Why should you start your day with us?
Hey, folks,
this is Dan, the laptop man from PC Laptops. Your dirty computer could burn your whole house down, maybe even your whole neighborhood. Scary. If you own a computer, you want to keep it clean from physical dirt, dander, boogers, pet hair, and all that gross stuff that builds up inside your fans and components. I've seen computers where people haven't cleaned them for like a decade. These blocked fans can cause massive heat buildup, and it could actually cause an electrical fire. A dirty computer can also run really slow, so your performance is very degraded. Now, normally to clean a computer, many stores charge over $100 to do this kind of cleaning and disinfection. But at PC Laptops, we'll do it for you no matter where you bought your PC for absolutely free. So bring your PC into any PC Laptops right now, or just check us out at PCLaptops.com. We're going to clean this thing for you. PCLaptops.com. At PC Laptops, we really love you.
You get business. So when it comes to business expenses, look for the card that gets you. The Zions Bank Amazing Card for Business. Apply now for and earn $1,000 bonus cash or 100,000 bonus rewards points when you spend $5,000 in the first 120 days from account opening. Your all business card awaits. For business expenses, large or small, Zions Bank is for you. Visit online or at your local branch to get started. Subject to credit approval. Terms, conditions, and restrictions apply. A division of Zions Bank Corporation. NA member FDIC.
The biggest RV show in the region is growing. The Utah Summer RV Palooza is back and bringing the heat to Sandy, June 22nd through the 24th. For 3 days only, the shops at Southtown will be packed with the largest selection of new and used RVs in the region. Shop brands like Ember, Forest River, Northwood, and more. You'll even find the hard-to-get Go Play 26BH bunkhouse travel trailer at a sales price of only $19,995. But that's not all the summer savings we're serving up. Save up to 20% below cost on select new 2022 RVs. Yeah, up to 20% under cost. We're also offering 90 days no payments on approved credit for all play and no pay until September. Plus, right now, we'll trade anything. Bring your trade to the show and we'll hook you up. Don't miss your chance to enter to win a brand new $30,000 RV. No purchase necessary. See rules for details. All during the Utah Summer RV Palooza in Sandy. Only June 22nd through the 24th at the shops at Southtown. Sponsored by Vicious RV.
Hi, this is Clark Ivory with Ivory Homes. 2023 is turning out to be pretty fantastic. We are consistently selling 20 to 30 homes per week, and we've helped hundreds of families and individuals by buying down their interest rates. Visit an Ivory model home today. You can choose from over 200 home designs and customize your plan just the way you want. Make this a summer to remember. The summer you created your own Ivory Home.
After I lost the 34 pounds on the SOTA weight loss program, SOTA stands for state of the art, I noticed something that I hadn't expected to happen. I wasn't the only one in my family who started eating healthier. My kid, they say you only teach a kid 3 ways, example, example, example. I started eating healthier. I wasn't binging on entire bags of Cheetos. I wasn't binging on things of ice cream all the time. Now if I want to have something, I have it, Tim, but I'm not, I eat healthier. I eat smarter, and my kids follow what I do.
My daughter, who lost 42 pounds, specifically wanted me to send that message to the listeners that you don't have to give up everything you love. And they can do away with the hunger pains at the beginning of this process to the point where they're almost non-existent. Believe it or not, SOTA weight loss can help you or somebody in your family. The average female 2 to 3 pounds every week. The average male 3 to 5 pounds. Find out for yourself. Go to SOTAweightloss.com, spelled SOTA. Think Tim and Amanda. It is state of the art. With the 3 things you need to know this hour, I'm Tim Hughes. First, the Cache Valley Mall could be torn down in the next year. There's a proposal to replace the mall with a 4-story apartment complex, a hotel, and a 150,000 square foot retail space. Second, Hunter Biden has been charged with a gun felony and 2 misdemeanors for not paying his taxes 2 years in a row. The president's son agreed to a plea deal that will likely get the gun charge dismissed. And third time is running out for 5 people on a chartered submersible that was diving down to look at the Titanic wreckage. The U.S. Coast Guard believes the people on board only have enough oxygen to last them until Thursday. We'll look for a high today of 73 with clouds still lingering downtown. It's 56. Let's get you back to Dave and Dujanovic on KSL News Radio.
Dave and Dujanovic.
On Monday, former President Donald Trump sat down with Fox News, sat down with their anchor Brett Baer, and Trump defended his retention of classified documents. He talked about the 2020 election much more. Now, the question I have, Mara, by the way, Mara Carabello, who's filling in for Debbie Dujanovic today, the Exoro Group, you lead up those folks, and then also KSL at night. But when President Trump sits down, there's always somebody that's angry. Either a judge is angry because he's talking about stuff he shouldn't be talking about, or his lawyers are angry. But the fact is, President Trump will always speak. Whenever asked, he's going to answer. So he sat down with Fox News. Do you think his lawyers were happy with
thrilled.
that decision?
No, I think his team was not thrilled with this decision. They were just not. And as you said, he's also been cautioned by the judge already to not talk too much about this. But Trump will be Trump.
Yeah, he's going to speak. So if you were wondering, though, if he sat down for a friendly interview with his buddies over at Fox News, that is not how I heard it. That it did not sound like one of those softball question interviews that was just nice and fluffy.
No, Brent Baer had some very direct questions for former President Trump.
The former President Trump defended the reason why he had confidential documents, saying he just needed time. This is what the former president said to Brett Baer.
The only way NARA could ever get this back, would be please, could we have it back?
And they
please,
asked for that.
Because they have no.
They did ask for it.
No, and
they said,
I gave
"Can you
them
give the documents back?"
And we were talking.
And then they said they went to DOJ to subpoena you to get them
which
back.
they've never done before.
Right.
And
But why not just hand them over then?
Because I had boxes. I want to go through the boxes and get all my personal things out. I don't want to hand that over to NARA yet. And I was very busy, as you've sort of seen.
Yeah, but
I've
according
been
to
very,
the
very
indictment,
busy.
you then tell this aide to move to other locations after telling your lawyers to say you'd fully complied with the subpoena when you hadn't.
But before I send boxes over, I have to take all of my things out. These boxes were interspersed with all sorts of things.
Now, he keeps saying NARA. Now, if you don't know the alphabet Olympics of Washington, D.C., it's the National Archives. Essentially what happens is whenever a president serves during those 4 years or 8 years, everything that he gets, whether it's a Post-it note or a letter or a note, that actually belongs to the public.
And, I just have to say this isn't unusual. I was the Utah Centennial director in the late 90s. And we were under, I mean, not as rigorous as the precedent, but we had to send everything to Utah's archives. And we spent over a year after the Centennial Commission was finished boxing and organizing for the state archives these records. So it's not uncommon for things to belong to the state or the federal government from which they were being represented at the time.
Wait, how long did it take you to box things up?
Almost a year. I mean, like well, I mean, it was the Centennial Commission. It wasn't top secret, and they wanted them organized. So yes, I mean, going and really making sure that the archive was there. Now, we also, again, one thing that's interesting about Trump's interview is we need to remember that the base of the charge is not necessarily that he had the documents. It's that he maybe evaded and has had some conspiracy charges, because that comes up because we say, oh, Mike Pence had documents and Joe Biden had documents, and there's trouble with that. But the heart of what Trump is fighting right now was he trying to be evasive about this?
And his claim is, I had a bunch of personal things in there. I hadn't gotten around to going through these boxes. And once I went through those boxes, okay, then I would have returned stuff to the National Archives. We are in negotiations. That's his argument. Okay, so we'll leave that to the side. Next question from Fox News' Brett Baer. Got into this, maybe a feud? Is that a good word? A feud with Trump over his assertion that he won the 2020 elections.
You lost the 2020 election.
Brett, you take a look at all of the stuffed ballots. You take a look at all of the things, including things like the 51 intelligence agents.
There were recounts in all of the swing states. There was not significant widespread
We're trying to get recounts, real recounts, not just numbers of votes
widespread
cast.
corruption. There was not a sense of that. There were lawsuits, more than 50 of them, by your lawyers, some in front of judges that you appointed.
Look at Wisconsin.
That came out with no evidence.
We've heard this argument 1,000 times before. We've heard this exchange 1,000 times. What I think is unique about it is that it was Fox News.
That's what I was thinking too. I mean, this is a group of conservatives who support Republicans and who support the rule of law. This is fascinating from a public policy point of view, though, because I will say, if you look at polling, there's a significant segment of the Republican Party that believes that the election should be questioned despite no evidence. And you saw that play out in what Trump was saying versus what Fox News' Brett Baer was saying.
Okay, third and final clip that stood out to me was the interaction between Brett Baer and President Trump after Trump claimed that he hired only the best people. That's one of his favorites. I hire the best people. I hire the best people. Baer pointed out that, well, many of those best people don't support him now.
Your Vice President, Mike Pence, is running against you.
Yeah.
Your Ambassador to the United Nations, Nikki Haley, she's running against you. Your former Secretary of State, Mike Pompeo, said he's not supporting you. You mentioned National Security Advisor John Bolton. He's not supporting you either. You mentioned Attorney General Bill Barr, says you shouldn't be president again, calls you the consummate narcissist and troubled man. You recently called Barr a gutless pig. Your second Defense Secretary is not supporting you, called you irresponsible. This week, you and your White House called your White House Chief of Staff, John Kelly, weak and ineffective and born with a very small brain. You called your acting White House Chief of Staff, Mick Mulvaney, a born loser. You called your first Secretary of State, Rex Tillerson, dumb as a rock, and your first Defense Secretary, James Mattis, the world's most overrated general. You called your White House Press Secretary, Kayleigh Kennedy, milquetoast, and multiple times you've referred to your Transportation Secretary, Elaine Chao, as Mitch McConnell's China-loving wife.
And
that was extraordinary.
That was 58 seconds.
Yes. And I mean, Trump sat through it, which was amazing. I mean, this was an extraordinary interview, granting complete access from, again, a conservative news outlet interviewing Donald Trump.
Yeah, and President Trump's like, well, you mentioned all those people. The other 10 people that I hired, a 10-to-1 ratio, were great people. Great people, but those were high-profile names. The judge, though, in the Trump's document case, just set a trial date, set August 14th as the trial date. So we'll see if President Trump will likely push to have that moved back or if that August 14th date will hold.
KSL FM Midvale, KSL Salt Lake City. Listen on the KSL News Radio app and in your car at 102.7 FM. KSL News Radio, your all-day companion for news.
It's 10 o'clock at KSL News Radio. I'm Dan Bomas. KSL's top story this hour, we have breaking news. Congressman Chris Stewart is talking about who he'd like to fill his seat. He's giving his endorsement to Celeste Malloy. Malloy happens to be the congressman's chief legal counsel right now. We've learned Congressman Stewart will be stepping down effective September 15th to take care of family issues. The family of a 42-year-old killed trying to rescue his dog in a house fire is mourning that loss. Siege Pendleton is Bo Davis' stepson. Pendleton says it's the type of thing that Davis would have done.
He's a good man through and through, and just it's almost unreal that he's gone.
You can read more about the family on KSLTV.com. Our top national story this hour from ABC News. Hunter Biden has been charged by the U.S. Justice Department for tax-related misdemeanors. ABC's Aaron Katersky says the president's son expected to acknowledge that failure to pay taxes. In exchange, prosecutors would recommend probation and Biden would avoid jail time.
As far as his team is concerned, this matter is largely resolved. The politics, of course, are yet to come, but from a legal matter, it appears that Hunter Biden is going to be on probation, meaning if he keeps his nose clean for the next couple of years, these charges are going to be resolved.
Hunter Biden was also charged with illegal possession of a firearm, has not entered a plea on that charge because it might still be dropped. Your money at this moment, the Dow Jones average down 312 points on the day right now. The NASDAQ down 93. And our KSL weather. Looks like things are going to clear up and warm up for the rest of the week. That's next. KSL News Time, 10:01.
What do you need to hear in the morning to feel ready for the day?
Important news that happened overnight, the traffic you'll hit on the roads.
You'll be ready for your day with us.
Join Utah's Morning News 5 to 9 on KSL News Radio.
At Shane Company, we believe everybody is made to shine. It doesn't matter who you are or where you're from. Shining is not for a chosen few. Like a rare gemstone, each one of us was created under just the right set of circumstances. Your moments, your milestones, your love story, all deserve to shine bright. You don't need an occasion or an invitation. You and your life are the event. At Shane Company, we handcraft our jewelry with the greatest care and hand select the most beautiful gemstones so you can shine. So put on a pair of earrings that make your eyes sparkle. Wear diamonds that light up the room. Try on sapphires in every color of the rainbow. Give an heirloom that collects new stories with each generation. We're all made to shine. Shane Company, fine jewelry since 1929.
The biggest RV show in the region is growing. The Utah Summer RV Palooza is back and bringing the heat to Sandy, June 22nd through the 24th. For 3 days only, the shops at Southtown will be packed with the largest selection of new and used RVs in the region. Shop brands like Ember, Forest River, Northwood, and more. You'll even find the hard-to-get GoPlay 26BH bunkhouse travel trailer at a sales price of only $19,995. But that's not all the summer savings we're serving up. Save up to 20% below cost on select new 2022 RVs. Yeah, up to 20% under cost. We're also offering 90 days no payments on approved credit for all play and no pay until September. Plus, right now, we'll trade anything. Bring your trade to the show and we'll hook you up. Don't miss your chance to enter to win a brand new $30,000 RV. No purchase necessary. See rules for details. All during the Utah Summer RV Palooza in Sandy. Only June 22nd through the 24th at the shops at Southtown. Sponsored by Vicious RV.
Holy Cross Hospital is honored to carry the legacy of its namesake and to care for northern Utah communities. Find 5 hospitals and more than 45 clinics along the Wasatch Front. More at holycrossutah.org.
Traffic and weather together brought to you by Granite Credit Union's high-yield savings certificates. Here's Heather Kelly.
Well, everyone's back to normal speeds on the freeways throughout Utah, Salt Lake, Davis, and Weber counties. But if you're in Summit County, heading south on US 40 away from I-80 toward the reservoir, you are going to see construction delays for several miles there, so just allow extra time on your drive. Save with Burt Brothers on brand name tires up to $150 off Goodyear tires, up to $140 off select Bridgestone tires, and $130 off select Firestone tires. Burt Brothers, complete auto care done better. Heather Kelly in the KSL Traffic Center.
KSL weather, winds will die down today, partly cloudy skies with a high around 73, warming up through the rest of the week. Right now, 55 degrees, mostly cloudy at KSL News Radio, 102.7 FM, 1160 AM, and KSLNewsRadio.com. Your all-day companion for news.
Dave and Dujanovic.
Have you folks ever heard of health savings accounts or flex spending accounts, cafeteria plans? Well, I was talking to one of my 20-somethings. He'd never heard these terms before.
Wow.
This is like, he had no idea what a health savings account was, flex spending. Like, I'm just on your insurance, right, Dad?
A pen.
How long am I on your insurance? Like, you got another 4 years, buddy. Don't
That's
worry
right.
about it.
Don't worry.
I'll
These
take
words
care of
can
you.
mean nothing to you for 4 more years.
Which they do, and they mean nothing to a lot of people, you know, unless you are probably the one paying the premiums. Then you know about flex spending accounts and health savings accounts. So for folks that have health savings accounts, the IRS just announced that you can put over $10,000 a year into your health savings account. And am I in the wrong one? I'm doing the wrong story? All right, this is why you have a producer, is when you're doing the wrong story, they can come in and say, Dave.
No, Dave, that was just a really good tease. That was a
So
that was an
up,
excellent
coming up in
tease.
35 minutes, this is exactly what I'm going to say.
And you're going to love it. This is going to be the best story.
Oh, Carlos, you're the best. Thank you. Hey, folks, everything I just said, ignore. I'm going to talk about that in 30 minutes, so make sure you stick around for health savings accounts. Okay, right now, all right, I'll talk about the thing that you want me to talk about, Carlos. Thank you. Is America divided? Okay, that's significantly different than what I was talking
I know
about.
he wants division. You were avoiding it. I appreciated it. I appreciated your want to be better. And this came up from a story that led to another story, but I love how this story started. Senator Todd Weiler, who is a friend, an often friend of the program, and a prolific tweeter.
Prolific,
If you don't follow Senator Weiler, he sort of sent out this enticing tweet that said, need evidence that the nation is divided? The number of states with supermajorities is at the highest level since 1982, with 19 Republican supermajorities and 9 Democratic supermajorities. That was the tweet he sent out.
Okay. So when you read that, what do you make of it?
Yeah, so I had this head scratcher where I'm thinking, wait a minute. Supermajorities, does that mean we're divided? I mean, it sounds like we have pockets of one party crushing the other pocket.
Maybe more polarized versus divided.
I think that's what I would say, right? I mean, I don't feel like supermajorities show division. I do think they show polarization.
It's a little bit odd when you talk about a divided nation. I kind of see where we use it almost synonymously with polarization. They were divided, we're polarized. But when you start talking about supermajorities, what is a supermajority, first of all, for if folks are like, what are you talking about?
Yeah, I mean, it's the ability that one party has where they could override gubernatorial votes without the help of the minority party. It's where the majority doesn't need to court the minority at all. They've got enough votes. In our case, in the House of Representatives in the state of Utah, there are 75 people, and 61 of them are Republicans. So 61 people in the House can do whatever they want. They don't need to ask, or they don't need to court or persuade any Democrats to vote with them to override a gubernatorial veto or to really pass any piece of legislation.
Okay, so from Utah's perspective, the supermajority that we have here in Utah, do Democrats truly have no voice, or do Republicans listen and work with Democrats more than perhaps the quote-unquote supermajority you would think in your mind? Like, do they cross the aisle even though they don't need to?
Well, so Utah's reputation is one of collaboration and crossing the aisle. Both party leadership would tell you that they respect and work together. Now, is it a little bit of a hostage situation in which you're like, well, of course I'll work with you because I have no other choice, right? So I do think all credit is due to the members of leadership in the Republican Party here, because I do think they ask the Democrats what their opinion is. But does it carry the day? Is it sort of a benevolent action? And really, I mean, because the Democrats, again, they don't have the power to peel back enough Republican votes to have it be a little spicy.
So what's the reaction? Do Democrats feel pandered to when Republicans come down and say, okay, tell me what we can do to get you on board with this law, and we'll throw you a few breadcrumbs?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's two bodies of thought that have been fighting against each other for years, which is, one is to say, hey, listen, I don't need your stinking breadcrumbs, and really take this opponent point of view. And what you have in that instance is more speaking truth to power than actually being able to do anything. So do you use your bully pulpit in the way that some occasional elected officials, like I think of Jim DeBacchus, who was outspoken and just flamboyantly, in opposition. Now, he passed very few pieces of legislation, but he gave voice to people who didn't have give voice. Then you see other tactics, which are to say they work really hard. And what they would say is they chip away at the edges, right? They don't get what they want, but they improve legislation. And they say, I made a difference in the outcome. Wasn't totally what I would have wanted, but I made it better than it was if I wasn't participating.
One of the things a supermajority does is it overrides a governor's veto as well. So much in the same way that it works on the federal level, where you can pass a bill and the president has to sign it to actually make a law. If he vetoes it, it goes back to the House, at least federally. And then if 2/3 of Congress agrees, or they can override the presidential veto. Well, the same thing happens on the state level, where a governor has to sign the bill into law. But if he vetoes it, then these supermajorities can override the governor's veto. And we actually saw that happen. Was it last year or a couple of years ago when Governor Cox vetoed his first veto?
Right. And that's a little more interesting dynamic if the governor is a different party than the majority in the legislature.
Yeah.
Utah has an interesting case in which we have, for as far back as we can remember, elected a supermajority Republicans in the House and Senate, as well as in the governor's mansion. What's interesting about that, though, is the check and balance has changed in that we've also been giving more power to the legislative branch. You saw that a couple of years ago through a constitutional amendment. The citizens voted that the legislature could call themselves into session. So we're also seeing a rewriting of some of the rules of where power lives.
And it's also fascinating to look when you start talking about the different branches of government trying to wrestle back some power. You see that very clear on the federal level, where Congress for so long has been inept, has not been able to pass important pieces of legislation. So the executive branch wrestles away some power and starts ruling by executive order.
That's right.
And you can see it would be quite easy for Congress to wrestle back that power, but they won't work together.
That's right.
So the president has more power because he's the only one that is legislating.
Yeah. The other interesting thing we should start watching for what happens in supermajorities is, Dave, when we're on the battlefield and I have on a blue shirt and you have a red shirt and we're battling it out, it's obvious and apparent which sides we're on. Supermajorities rely on the fact, though, that it's almost a monolith. So what happens when the supermajority starts disagreeing? You have 61 people in your caucus, but what happens when you can't hold your caucus together? What happens when Republicans start to fight Republicans? And that's usually when there's an opening for another big round of change. We have not seen that in Utah. The Republican Party and the Republican members that are elected have been really disciplined about staying together. But what happens when Republicans or the supermajority battle each other because they don't worry about the opponents?
One final little thought was, as soon as Senator Weiler said, if you're wondering if the nation's ever been more divided, talking about supermajorities, Democratic Senator Nate Bluin said, also evidence of GOP gerrymandering.
A byproduct of being in the majority.
You get to draw the lines. You get to make the maps.
That's right.
My response to gerrymandering, though, is everyone's angry about gerrymandering when you're not in power. Trust me. Republicans are complaining about the gerrymandering that is happening in New York, in California, just like the Democrats are complaining about the gerrymandering that happens in Utah. Gerrymandering, it is just the way the system works. I don't know how to fix it. I don't think you can fix it. But I'll tell you this. I'd give up a seat or two here in Utah if California played by the same rules and we got like 20 seats from California. Yeah, gerrymandering, that's always a hot topic. But, there we go. Senator Weiler, Nate Bluin, get into a little bit of a Twitter fight. But is the nation more divided? That's a good question. Do the supermajorities prove that point? Not so convinced.
Dave and Dujanovic.
Hey, stay right here for more of Dave and Dujanovic.
And tomorrow morning, come back here for news, traffic updates, and reliable weather.
Join us to have a listen. Tim and Amanda.
Your morning companions for news.
Right on cue for summer.
OPEC plans to cut oil production.
Gas prices are headed up.
But people say they are not calling off their trips.
Whether you're planning a staycation or a day trip, start your summer here. Get updates on traffic out of town, gas prices, and everything you need to know. Listen each day this summer, mornings and afternoons, to KSL News Radio.
It is hot outside. It is sweaty. I am doing so much laundry right now. It's like my kids are in gym class. It's everything I wear lasts exactly one day because it's just sweaty and gross. So it's why I'm so excited to have soft water in my house. One of the big reasons we decided to get a water softener from Connecticut, number one, for our skin, it's great to keep your skin soft and hydrated, but it's been fantastic to have soft water when you're doing laundry. It makes a huge difference. And if you're not entirely certain how it works, give Connecticut of Utah a call, 801-576-8600. Let them come to your house like they did mine. They will walk you through the importance of having soft water in your house. And it's not just for the showers and the baths that you take or the laundry that you do, the expensive appliances that you own. It makes a real difference because you will see, and you've seen this if you have hard water in your house, the hard water stains, the buildups, the spots on your dishes. I can't tell you how many hundreds of dollars I spent on expensive cleaners to try to get rid of those spots on my dishes. Oh, I just needed soft water. That was a huge thing. So give Connecticut of Utah a call, 801-576-8600, or check them out online at softwaterutah.com.
Here's a question. Do you wear dentures? At Grandpa's Dental, you can trade in your floppy dentures and get $2,000 towards an implant-supported solution. You know, they say the older you get, the more you need your teeth. Well, chewing your food isn't a luxury. And taking a bite out of a nice, juicy steak, well, it takes teeth. At Grandpa's Dental, they have over 10,000 restorations under their belt, and it's always affordable. When you walk into one of their 3 locations, you're family, period. At Grandpa's Dental, they live their family legacy by building lasting relationships through state-of-the-art services. So if you want to stop the flop and actually eat foods you can chew, trade in your dentures at Grandpa's Dental for $2,000 toward your implant solution. Schedule your free consultation at grandpasdental.com today. That's grandpasdental.com.
Hi, we're Comparion Insurance Agency. Right now you're thinking, Comparion, never heard of them. We know. We also know that you have no idea that Comparion Insurance agents are local and provide expert advice. So to help it stick, we're going to say local agent 4 times in the next 15 seconds. Ready? Go. Our local agents know you and your community. Our local agents offer insurance from top carriers. Our local agents have minty fresh breath.
Find us at ComparionInsurance.com. Comparion Insurance Agency. Local agents. Expert advice.
And there's number 4.
Yeah, I'm so stressed. Our business is growing. We've got people all over now.
Ooma.
What is that? Meditation?
I'm recommending the Ooma cloud phone system with auto attendant and more than 50 features.
Ooma?
Yep, switching to Ooma is a cinch. Just $24.95 per month per user, plus taxes and fees.
Ooma.
Now you're feeling it. Find small business calm at ooma.com/radio. That's OOMA.com/radio.
It's Summit Harley's pre-owned freedom sale this week. All pre-owned Harleys are tagged with liquidation pricing. Save thousands of dollars at Summit Harley's pre-owned freedom sale. Good, bad, or no credit, it's not a problem. Summit Harley is accepting 100% of all credit applications. Repos trucked in, and then the owner says 50 used bikes must go this week. So let freedom ring when you purchase the Harley of your dreams. You don't need perfect credit, don't need a cash down payment. Summit Harley-Davidson is the #1 volume Harley dealer in the state. Pre-owned freedom sale ends this Saturday. On approved credit ends Saturday.
Getting help with plumbing repairs is easier than you think. All you have to do is call Any Hour Services or schedule an appointment at anyhourservices.com. No one helps more homeowners than Any Hour Services.
With the 3 things you need to know this hour, I'm Dan Thomas. First, Congressman Chris Stewart is endorsing Celeste Malloy as his replacement. She's currently working as the chief legal counsel in his office. Second, a family from Layton talking about their dad who died in a house fire in southern Utah this week, saying he was a great man. Third, Hunter Biden, the president's son, has reportedly agreed to a plea bargain on tax charges. Right now, 55 degrees, mostly cloudy in Salt Lake City. Back to Dave and Dujanovic on KSL News Radio.
Dave and Dujanovic.
I say this for you. I say this for myself, Mara, for you as well. Today is Tuesday. Today is not Monday.
Yes.
I woke up thinking it was Monday. I drove into work thinking it was Monday. It is not Monday.
I kind of feel like it's Monday a little.
It does feel like a Monday. It is not. It's a Tuesday. Because we had Monday off. It always messes me up, these 3-day weekends. This past weekend, a 3-day weekend celebrating Juneteenth. Last year, Utah decided to recognize Juneteenth as a statewide holiday. It's been a federal holiday since 2021, and it's the day that honors the end of slavery across the United States. On June 19th, 1865, African Americans in Galveston, Texas, were finally told, and they were kind of the last bastion, the last place to learn of President Lincoln's Emancipation Proclamation. But June 19th, 1865, a day pretty new to us, but obviously around the South, in Texas specifically, they've been celebrating this for a long time.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, I'm gonna brag a little. My people are from Texas, and Exoro's been taking Juneteenth off for probably 15 years.
Get out of here.
Yeah, I know.
Really?
Yeah. And people would always be like, well, and I mean, it was also, a good day in June to be out. And so it's nice to have this. This is a great, meaningful demarcation of a huge, big, stinking deal that happened in America.
I saw some stuff on social media where people were complaining, saying it was pandering. Like, this actually makes sense to me.
Yeah.
Celebrating Juneteenth, celebrating the final day of slavery, a dark, awful, terrible mark in our nation's history, commemorating this as being the last day. I mean, I understand that there's more that goes into it, but that should be exciting, something that we should probably all rally around.
I agree with you. I mean, outside of the Constitution and the Bill of Rights, I think the Emancipation Proclamation is one of the most important documents in American history.
Robert Birch joins us right now, the executive director of the Semahadithi African American Heritage and Culture Foundation. He'll be joining us in just a minute, but when I look at holidays, we have so many silly holidays that we celebrate. Some of them, I don't know, maybe made sense at some point. Like Arbor Day, I'm sure makes sense. It's not a federal holiday. We don't get that one off.
Right.
But there are holidays out there that I look at. I'm like, why are we celebrating trees? That's Arbor, right?
Yeah, that's Arbor
that's
Day.
the tree day.
Yeah. You don't have big plans on Arbor Day? Dave, come on. You don't plant and plant?
I do not.
We do have a lot of carryover, leftover days.
Okay, so Father's Day.
Okay.
Which was, we had back-to-backs.
Recently, yeah.
We had back-to-backs. We had Father's Day on Sunday. and then Juneteenth. If you really want to celebrate Father's Day, give me a day off during the week. Like, that's the way to celebrate
You want it on a Wednesday.
Oh, yeah.
And
give
no
me a,
communications are allowed that day.
Okay, you want to really celebrate Father's Day? Yeah, absolutely. Put it on a Wednesday, and no one can talk to me. I just get to do my thing for the entire day.
That's the essence of the celebration. You may not speak to anyone who's a father.
No.
In the middle of the week. That would actually be quite a celebration.
That would be incredible.
I'm with you on this one. I'm with you.
There are days, there are celebrations, and as you look across the country, the days that we celebrate, some days kind of get appropriated and changed into something that they are not. Like Easter, for example, we do the Easter egg hunts, we do the bunnies and all that kind of commercialized stuff instead of celebrating the resurrection of Jesus Christ, right?
Mm-hmm.
It just gets changed into something that it isn't.
Yeah, that's an interesting point about how many holidays do we stay true to the purpose of memorializing that day.
Memorial Day.
Yeah.
I mean, Happy Memorial Day.
Is it a picnic time or is it a time? And even Memorial Day, are you honoring service members or are you honoring family? I mean, we expand, we really expand and reinterpret.
It will be interesting to see what Juneteenth turns into.
Yeah.
If it truly is recognizing or memorializing this great day in American history, which was kind of viewed as the final day of slavery, where slavery officially ends in the United States, or if it becomes something else.
Yeah, that's a really good, and what an interesting opportunity we have. So Utah's had it for 2 years. This was only our second year. What an interesting opportunity we have to decide in our own families what we're going to commemorate on Juneteenth.
One of the things we like to do in my family, or what I try to do, I don't do it every single year, but I try to have a conversation with my family and my kids specifically about Memorial Day and what we are remembering. My father, my father's dad, he lost his eye in World War II. So I like to talk about that, and we remember that. We usually watch an old war movie.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, and that I think is an important thing for me because I do have family members that served. So it hits close. Even though I never lost anybody, we had, some Purple Hearts in our family, and I think that's important. But Juneteenth is recent. How did you first learn about it, and why have you celebrated that for so many years?
Well,
and how big of a deal is it down in Texas?
It was because my grandpa was from Texas. I mean, and so he knew it as a holiday. He wasn't from Galveston, but he was from the area. And ours was more in that we always had the conversation. I mean, it was a day of political. My family has always talked about current events. I was going to say they were political. I don't know that they're political, but they've always been readers of newspapers, understanders of history, and appreciators of history. And so while we never have commemorated it in a celebratory way, although I will say I'm from Denver, and Denver has had Juneteenth celebrations that we have gone to for years. And they're usually local festivals, and they're usually supported in celebrating the current Black community, which I really appreciate. So that's Black-owned businesses, cultural events. More commonly now, you're also seeing a new African-American influence from immigrants who have come from Senegal and other countries that we're seeing more immigration in the United States. But so for me, it manifests mostly as festivals and conversations with our family like yours were in Memorial Day. One of the keys, I think, I look at all the holidays we have, and I do chuckle sometimes that we get days off. I'm going to be honest. I had to look up recently what Labor Day is, or why we celebrate Labor Day. Yeah, why do we celebrate Labor Day? That's great, because my Google search, and then that's about the depth of my study, said it honors the labor movement. There you go. So, okay. Well named. Yeah, that's great. I have not once enjoyed Labor Day thinking, boy, I'm sure grateful for the labor movement. Robert Birch joins us right now for a couple of minutes. Robert, sorry, I think we had a little technical difficulty here, but he's the executive director of the Sema Hadithi African American Heritage and Cultural Foundation. Robert, can you talk to us about the importance of Juneteenth as a holiday?
Yes, I appreciate the call. and I apologize for the technical difficulties here. As I was listening to you talk about the holiday earlier and thinking about at the Gettysburg Address, the final words of Abraham Lincoln was to say that this constitutes a new birth of freedom in the United States. And that struggle with those who seem to have difficulties, as you was illustrating with the holiday and call it pandering, is that even then the President of the United States recognized that this was a new start for some of us.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, what an amazing moment in history. What ideally in your mind, how a new state like Utah to this holiday, how do we honor this past and how do we celebrate hopefully the where we're going in the future?
I think it starts with just a recognition of the history of the state. We call ourselves Sema Hadithi because that's Swahili for tell the story. And much of the story about the slavery history of Utah has actually been ignored or hidden. And so we have to first reconcile that. Even with Representative Hollins a couple of years ago, we went up to the state legislature to have the language of slavery removed from the Utah State Constitution. Right. So we're a long way to get people to just recognize, first of all, that this was a slaveholding state.
Robert Birch, I'm sorry that we had to cut this a little bit short. Thank you. I'd like to continue this conversation at another point because I think that's a great point that you made. That there was slavery in Utah that is a part of our history that I can say, even though I've grown up here and lived here my entire life, I took Utah studies in middle school. I know very little about that aspect of it. So, Robert Birch, thank you. That'll be something that I certainly read up on. Thanks for joining us from the African American Heritage Culture Foundation called Sema Hadithi. Robert, thank you. When we come back, now it is the time to talk about health savings accounts.
The much anticipated.
I tried to talk about it a half an hour too early, but we'll talk to an expert that can really walk us through how it affects you or how it may affect you in the future.
It's 10:31 at KSL News Radio. I'm Dan Bomas, and we have breaking news in sports at this hour. Utah Jazz fans are going to be able to watch next season's games for free. KSL Sports reports the games will stream on KJazz television. Channel 14 will be available also through a paid streaming platform on the team's website. In a press release, owner Ryan Smith said the new approach is one of the most important investments he's made since purchasing the team. There are more than a dozen Republican candidates in the race to replace Congressman Chris Stewart when he steps down in September. Now, Stewart is endorsing a member of his staff, Celeste Malloy. She served as chief counsel in his office. In a news release, Stewart calls her a strong conservative woman with Utah values. Our top national story this hour from ABC News. Hunter Biden, the president's son, will reportedly plead guilty to 2 misdemeanor tax charges and enter a diversion program on a felony gun charge. ABC chief legal analyst Dan Abrams tells us this announcement will likely be portrayed 2 ways along party lines.
You're going to see 2 very different narratives here. One from the Biden family and those close to Joe Biden who are going to say he's accepted responsibility. This has been the 5-year investigation. It's time to move forward. And you're going to hear oversight committee members and some other leading Republicans say, no, that doesn't relate to our investigation.
Delaware's U.S. Attorney David Weiss, who was appointed by President Trump, signed off on that plea deal. Your money at this moment, the Dow Jones average down 242 points on the day. The NASDAQ is down 31. And our KSL weather, it looks like the clouds are going to break up and we'll see sunshine later in the week. That's next. KSL News Time, 10:33.
We have enough people running around Broadcast House at 4 in the morning to field a football team.
Producers, reporters, the traffic team, and us.
This is Tim and Amanda.
Join us each morning from 5 to 9 on KSL News Radio.
Interest rates have gone up for buying a home, but not for remodeling the exterior of your home. This week only at RGS Exteriors, it's our zero interest financing sale. That's right, 0% interest on any gutters, siding, windows, or any exterior remodeling project on your home. We have programs for 12, 18, and 24 months, all with 0% financing. But the sale is this week only at RGS Exteriors. Want stunning James Hardy siding? 0%. Need to replace your windows? 0%. New gutters or gutter covers? 0%. How about a full extreme makeover? That's right, 0%. We've also been serving Utah for 5 generations, so you can trust us to do the job right. All work is backed by our exclusive 10-year everything guarantee for total peace of mind. And this week only, everything is available for 0% financing with approved credit. Don't put off your new exterior project any longer. As always, estimates are free, so call RGS Exteriors at 801-280-3110 or visit us at rgsutah.com. That's rgsutah.com.
With the economy the way it is, you're probably staying put. So invest in your home, your number one asset, with beautiful custom replacement windows from Advanced Window Products. They're a local Utah company building beautiful vinyl framed and insulated double pane windows for 37 years right here in Salt Lake City. Advanced Window Products will save you money on your energy bill. Get security features to keep your family safe. And at Advanced Window Products, it's all custom. And the best part? They're local. They build the windows, they install the windows, and they guarantee them for life. So there's no middleman markup. You save on the highest quality windows in Utah. Plus, Rocky Mountain and Dominion offer rebates. For a limited time, they offer 60-month 0% financing. And right now, get $2,000 off 10 windows or more. They're working 8 weeks out. So make the call now. Advanced Window Products, 801-850-9100. That's 801-850-9100 or visit advancedwindowsusa.com.
Traffic and weather together brought to you by Granite Credit Union's high-yield savings certificates. Here's Heather Kelly.
Well, drivers going through Parley's Canyon are going to have reduced visibility and wet roads out right over the summit. We've got fog and rain, which are really enveloping the summit through there. So you're going to have to slow down your speeds for safety and then just allow a few extra minutes on your drive. The good news is there's no accidents reported on city streets or major freeways, so everywhere else is looking good. A must-see Utah Symphony performance of Star Wars Episode 7, The Force Awakens, in concert. The entire movie plays on the big screen as the Utah Symphony performs the full score in sync with the film. Heather Kelly in the KSL Traffic Center.
KSL weather. Winds die down today and partly cloudy skies with high around 73 later on. It'll warm up through the rest of the week. And right now, it's 59 degrees and partly cloudy at KSL News Radio, 102.7 FM, 1160 AM, and KSLNewsRadio.com. Your all-day companion for news.
Dave and Dujanovic.
All right, about 30 minutes ago, I had a little bit of a false start. I wanted to talk about health savings accounts, and that was not the proper place. We had another topic scheduled. But now, this is official. We are going to talk about health savings accounts. Mara, at what point of your life did you know what a health savings account was?
So it's interesting. My dad had a cafeteria plan.
Okay.
And I remember I wasn't a child, like college, hearing them, talk about should they get new glasses before the year ended or should they and I remember thinking it was more like you bought things, right? Should we go get glasses and contacts before? I have never had one. I've only had insurance or not been insured, but I've only had sort of standard insurance.
There are a couple different things going on here. Health savings accounts, cafeteria plans, or flex spending accounts. I was talking to my son. He's 22 years old, and we were talking, he's getting married soon. So we were talking about health insurance, and how his fiance, how is she going to be covered under her parents' insurance because they're college kids.
Right.
They don't have a full-time job. They don't have any coverage as far as health care. So they're still going to be gravy training off the parents. Is that the way to say it? A gravy training off. So as I start talking about flex spending accounts and health savings accounts, and I mean, it was like I was speaking a different language.
He didn't know what you're talking about.
And which is a bad parenting, B, bad schooling as well, because we never talk about this stuff in school as well. So I want to bring on from Select Health, Heidi Castañeda, who is the expert. We've talked to you in the past, Heidi. about health savings accounts. Can you help differentiate? Like, when do we use health savings accounts, and how do they differ from flex spending accounts?
Yeah, that is a great question. And you're not alone in your confusion. A lot of folks are confused enough by their health plan, never mind these HSAs, FSAs, and all of that. But really, there are some big differences between HSAs and FSAs. And I'm gonna speak in general terms, and there's going to be some variations. But in general, when you talk about an HSA or an HSA plan, in order to be eligible, you have to pair it with the correct health plan, with a qualified high deductible health plan. So in theory, the idea is that you purchase generally a lower cost health plan with higher deductibles and out-of-pockets, and then you get the opportunity to put tax-free money away into an HSA account to help fund some of those upfront costs that you might be contending with when you have a high deductible health plan. But one of the big differences between an FSA and an HSA is that those HSA dollars are yours. And we just talked about you spend it or you lose it at the end of the year. In an HSA, that's not the case. Actually, you can save that money and continue to compound it year over year, getting those tax benefits and then creating a little nest egg for your retirement, as well as possible investment opportunities. So those are some real key differences.
So Heidi, if my employer is offering me insurance, but hasn't spoken to me about this, are these plans, whether they're health savings or flex spending or are these things I can ask for? Can I ask to have them added to my health care that's being offered?
You can absolutely speak with your employer. They may be offering a plan that qualifies as a high deductible as an option for you, and you may not be aware of it. So it is good to have that discussion with your employer to see if they do offer a plan that is a high deductible health plan, a qualified. And many employers will contribute to your HSA as well. They'll offer potentially only high deductible health plans and then help you match your donations or the investment into your account. So it's definitely something to talk to your employer about.
And part of the reason why we're talking about health savings account is because the IRS just announced that they are raising the amount that you can put into your health savings account, because there's a cap, correct, on how much you can donate to your or contribute to your health savings account?
There is. Every year, the deductibles, the out-of-pockets, and the contribution limits usually adjust slightly, but we did see a pretty big jump for 2024. So, for example, if it's just you, you can contribute up to $4,150 into your account every year. If you're a family, it goes to $8,300. But and there's even provisions for people who are over 55 that can contribute a little bit more than that. But yeah, those have gone up substantially for 2024. And the nice thing too about these purchases that you can make with your HSA, it's not just things covered by your health plan. Sometimes it's things that aren't. It could be, certain medications. It could be, for example, during the pandemic, face masks could be covered with your HSA. There's a lot of other things that can be covered.
Now, I remember I've had flex spending my entire life as opposed to a health savings account, but I remember, unfortunately, I'd set aside several $1,000s in my flex spending account, and we were just incredibly healthy that year. And I literally had like $1,500 left. And it is one of those situations where if you don't spend the money, then you just flat out lose it. I don't understand the concept, but them's the rules. And I remember buying like Gucci sunglasses, like prescription sunglasses, just to spend the money.
Right.
Because that was covered. I must have had a $700 pair of glasses that I did not need. So when I've heard about the health savings account and the idea that you can roll over these contributions, you don't have to use it or lose it. Again, a concept that makes no sense to me. But I wonder, is there are there opportunities? Are they becoming more popular? Are they loosening the requirements, or are there more possibilities to switch over into a health savings account, or is it really an either or? You get either the flex spending or the health saving, and the rules are just very clear.
Yeah, those are a lot of questions.
Sorry,
Makes sense.
I asked like 50 things here.
It's great. When you talk about FSAs, those are going to be employer-based programs, right? So those are your employer dollars that are going into the FSA. The difference is with an HSA, it can be funded by your employer, but again, no more than the max that we talked about before. But ultimately, the HSA is yours to control. And so they are very different things. But in an FSA, you're right in that some of those, the way they're set up, kind of sets this odd incentive for people to maybe spend on things that they didn't need to spend it on, because it's that use it or lose it mentality. And it's very, it's not very useful at sometimes. So for an HSA, again, it can be employer dollars, it can be employee dollars, all mixed into one pot that, again, goes towards is yours to control, that rolls over and over. So, there's pros and cons of both, but HSAs are definitely gaining popularity. And I think, ultimately what keeps people from doing it is just the confusion about, is this a health plan? Is this a special health plan? Is this an account? What exactly is it?
And Heidi, a tip I've learned is, you can only change your plan once a year when your employer does. So it's probably important, don't you think, to know when your employer is renegotiating and know when you have choices and when the window closes.
That is 100% right. No matter if you're enrolled on Medicare, if you're enrolled on individual, if you're enrolled in employer groups, there's a time of year where you have the ability to change your plan. And so it's good to understand what that time frame looks like and reach out and make sure you understand those options. Again, a lot of employers really lean into these HSAs and offer these kind of higher deductibles so that they can put money back into the HSA and can contribute alongside of those employees. Other people who purchase their own insurance directly through a health plan, they need to purchase a plan that is showing as a qualified high deductible health plan. And if you do that, if you're with an employer, those monies are going to come out of your check, and they're going to be they're going to be tax free. But also, if you purchase your own coverage through the individual health plan, you can also deduct those contributions at tax time. So you get those tax benefits initially. It's also any kind of interest you accrue is tax deferred, and if you spend it on medical expenses, then there's no tax either. So it's really a huge benefit in tax savings. No matter what your tax bracket is, you can save pretty dramatically from avoiding tax on these HSA contributions.
Well, Heidi, thank you for joining us. Heidi Castagnata with Select Health, walking us through health savings accounts. And the reason why we were talking about it is because the IRS just announced you can raise significantly your contributions into your health savings account. Again, these are pre-tax dollars, so you get some tax benefits from it, and then you get to build up a health savings account, basically a savings account that you can only spend on your health, but that's kind of the idea is if you're very healthy, then this is great. You can build up that health savings account, and then when you have a bad year or something happens, then you have that nest egg that you can draw from. Heidi, thank you for joining us. When we come back, did you know that there was a submarine that took tourists to visit the Titanic? The Titanic? Yeah, that's exactly what happened. Well, that submarine, that touristy submarine, has gone missing. They can't find it, and they only have maybe a dozen hours of oxygen left as they frantically are being searched for. And we'll give you an update of where they're at or where they might be.
Dave and Dujanovic.
Did you know Utah has just one all-news station in the morning?
It's this one, weekday mornings between 5 and 9.
Start your days with us. We're Tim Hughes and Amanda Dixon.
Your morning companions for news.
Removing the Bible may be just the beginning.
When the legislature passes a law to preclude certain conduct, sometimes it catches things that they never intended to catch.
In a case of unintended consequences.
This is actually something the majority of parents don't want to see.
Reporter Amy Kobabe goes cover to cover on the story. Battle of the Books, this week on KSL News Radio.
Hey, folks, let me tell you about my Friday. I went out, did some lawn work, had to go to the landfill, brought my 13-year-old along with me, and then as a reward for helping Dad, I took him to Free Frazzle Friday. If you're wondering, like, what in the world is Free Frazzle Friday? A Frazzle is a slushie. And on a hot day, there is nothing better. It is incredible. So I take my son into Maverick. There's places all over the state that they offer Frazzles, but my place is Maverick. That's the one close to my house. And he asked me all week long, "Hey, Dad, we're getting Frazzles on Friday, right?" And I'm like, "Yeah, buddy, they're free." He loves them. 12-ouncer, you get it for free. And my favorite flavor, Pog. That is my new flavor. It's the flavor my son just loves. Pomegranate, orange guava, outstanding, but there's lots of great flavors. Tiger's Blood is great. That's strawberry and coconut. That's awesome. There's like a Simply Mango, which I love. Lots of great flavors. Give it a test. FreeFrazzleFriday.com to find out where your participating locations are. There's also a Frazzle app. Check that one out.
For adults with moderate to severe plaque psoriasis who are candidates for systemic or phototherapy, now there's Skyrizi, Risankizumab Riza, a prescription-only 150 milligram injection. With Skyrizi, 3 out of 4 people achieve 90% clear skin at 4 months, and Skyrizi is just 4 doses a year after 2 starter doses.
Nothing in me go hand in hand. Nothing on my skin, that's my new plan. Nothing is everyday.
Don't use if allergic to Skyrizi. Serious allergic reactions and an increased risk of infections or a lower ability to fight them may occur. Before treatment, your doctor should check for infection and tuberculosis. Tell your doctor if you have an infection or symptoms, such as fever, sweats, chills, muscle aches, or cough, or if you plan to or recently received a vaccine.
With Skyrizi, you could achieve 90% clearer skin. Ask your doctor about the #1 dermatologist prescribed biologic in psoriasis and visit skyrizi.com or call 1-866-SKYRIZI to learn more.
At aimyourdigital.com, we'll help you target the right audience, build your leads, and crush your quota. Take your business to the next level. Our digital marketing strategies help grow awareness of your product or service, all while building trust in your business. Our approach involves leveraging multiple tools and strategies to deliver exceptional results that are customized to your unique business needs. Don't wait to run out of sales leads. Keep your business growing. Get started with aimyourdigital.com today.
Get updates on Jazz and BYU news and score updates. Text Jazz or BYU at the Cyprus Credit Union KSL text line. 57500.
Following is a paid commercial announcement.
The economy is flirting with disaster again. The debt ceiling talks? This could all blow up the economy. Disastrous for the U.S. dollar. Protect your money. Diversify with gold from Birch Gold. Text Patriot to 989898 for your free info kit about gold. Straight facts, easy to understand. Birch Gold has an A+ rating from the Better Business Bureau. They will protect your money. Text Patriot to 989898. Again, text Patriot to 989898.
Dave and Dujanovic.
You may remember this, Mara. By the way, Mara Carabello's filling in for Debbie Dujanovic today, who's off. Mara, you remember when Captain Kirk went to space for real? William Shatner goes up into one of the, I can't remember, was it?
Meta moment where Captain Kirk was actually going to space.
He went to space. He was with who's the Branson guy? Richard Branson.
Yeah, Richard Branson.
Yeah, it was Richard Branson.
Yeah.
Virgin Airlines. That's right. So they basically took a little trip to the outer or the inner edges of space. How do you? They touched space. Anyway, they come back. Captain Kirk was super excited about it. There's some wild things that we do. We want to go high. We want to go to space. We want to go deep into the ocean. Well, sure enough, somebody created a submarine that can travel down to view the Titanic.
Wow.
It's a submarine. It's a tourist submarine. It costs about $125,000, $150,000, something like that, to get into this submarine. And the pilot basically takes you down with, 4 or 5 other people, and they go check out the Titanic. Well, that submarine, that tourist submarine, has gone missing, and they can't find it.
And no one has heard from that. And, the other interesting thing we've seen reported is this, I don't know what you call it, vehicle, the submersible, has no GPS tracking on it. So they know where they last saw it. They know what it was trying to get to, obviously, 2 miles down the Titanic shipwreck. but they don't know where it is right now.
ABC News has the latest.
Offers tourists trips on its submersible for roughly $250,000, giving them an opportunity to explore the ruins with scientists. Among the 5 people on board, businessman Shahzada Daoud and his son Suleiman. Their family writing, "We are very grateful for the concern being shown by our colleagues and friends and would like to request everyone to pray for their safety." Also inside, renowned Titanic researcher P.H. Najoulet and Hamish Harding, a British billionaire.
So this submarine had essentially 4 days worth of quote unquote survival capacity.
Right.
Air, food, but obviously air is the most important. Well, they estimate that that submarine only has about 10 to 12 hours of oxygen remaining.
Right. So to give it a sense of timing, it was reported overdue Sunday night, about 435 miles away from Newfoundland. And so that was, the last day of anyone, they were supposed to check in. They were overdue on Sunday night. We're now Tuesday, late morning, and they're not sure where it is.
Now, the Titanic, I didn't realize this until you mentioned it, how far away it is from the United States.
Yeah, I was a little surprised. It's 900 miles away from the American coast, from the U.S.
Okay, so 900 miles, and then you actually knew exactly how. I'm like, what city is closest? What's 900 miles
Yes,
away?
I impressed Dave, so I will say again about Kansas City, about Salt Lake to Kansas City.
I even fact-checked you on that.
You
and
did.
so help me, it was like spot on, like right on, 915 miles. But about 900 miles off the East Coast is the Titanic, and it lies 12,500 feet below sea level. That's 10 times the height of the Empire State Building.
Mm-hmm.
And anytime you take a submersible down there for a long time, for a lot of years, according to the movie Titanic with Leonardo DiCaprio, they couldn't go down there in person. They would send drones, or they'd send basically cameras down there because it's such a perilous and dangerous environment. In fact, again, going back to ABC News, they talk about why the rescue mission is so hard right now.
You're in a very hostile environment. It's pitch black. You can't see. You need another ship that has the ability to go that deep.
And now, again, you said GPS is an issue. Trying to find this. Have they been taken off course by the currents in the oceans? Did something catastrophic happen? Are they? What is the way they can send out a rescue beacon? Do they even have that on the submersible? All of these things, was it a power failure? They're not sure about what it could be. And I think this is when the rescue is trying to organize this rescue mission, but they're not quite sure what to even do or where to start.
They've already searched over 10,000 square miles, ocean miles, and they have no sighting of it. Also, we saw a report, according to a professor in marine biology from University College in London, that, Dave, these kinds of submersibles do have a drop weight. So that means that a mass that they can release in case of an emergency that makes them buoyant, right? That brings them to the surface for buoyancy. And so what you'd see then is this vessel, this submersible, would be bobbing on the surface, and clearly they haven't seen signs of that yet either.
But again, trying to find a bobbing vessel in the middle of the ocean,
right, is
nearly
a needle
impossible.
in a haystack.
Yeah,
right?
needle in the haystack. But again, if you would think that there are safety mechanisms and contacts and satellite phones, we don't know what they have. But again, they're down to 10 to 15 hours. If they are still underwater, they only have 10 to 15 hours of oxygen remaining.
Yeah, and it's extraordinary. We were talking about this. This is something you said you would do. These epic journeys into places that are extraordinary. That you have scientists and citizens and civilians going down to see these just once-in-a-lifetime glimpses at places and history. But there's also just so much risk.
Yeah, and there's a daredevil aspect to it.
Sure.
We see this all the time with the Red Bull sky jumpers,
right,
or the Red Rock cyclists. We do, harrowing, scary, dangerous things all the time. I mean, how many people die on Angel's Landing?
Right.
You know, one of the most beautiful hikes in the world, but people die all the time doing those. But I wonder when we're talking about traveling to space or along the ocean floor, what kind of protections? Should there be laws preventing some of this risky behavior, or do you just chalk it up and say, well, this is the thrill seeking they want?
Right. And again, I mean, these experiences, you just can't compare them to anything.
We'll continue to follow this as the search continues for this submarine, this touristy submarine that has been went down to the Titanic, and they've lost this crew.
KSL FM Midvale, KSL Salt Lake City. Listen on the KSL News Radio app and in your car at 102.7 FM. KSL News Radio, your all-day companion for news.
It's 11 o'clock at KSL News Radio. I'm Dan Bomas. KSL's top story this hour: Utah Jazz fans will be able to watch games on broadcast TV starting this fall. The Jazz have announced an agreement with the owners of KJazz Channel 14 to broadcast the games free over the air. KSL Sports reports fans will also be able to stream the games using a paid streaming-based platform on the Jazz website. Our top national story this hour from ABC News: the search continues for a missing submersible that was transporting paying passengers to the wreck of the Titanic more than 2 miles below the surface of the North Atlantic. ABC's Brian Clark has more.
The 5 people on board the missing OceanGate submersible have little control over their fate deep below the surface of the ocean.
There's not much you can do if things go wrong because you are stuck in a cylinder at whatever depth you're at.
Per Wimmer's a former passenger. The vast size of the area is presenting another challenge.
The area that we search is roughly about the size of Connecticut.
Coast Guard Rear Admiral John Mauger tells ABC they're coordinating with the Navy, the Canadian Navy and Coast Guard, as well as OceanGate. Brian Clark, ABC News.
Your money at this moment. The Dow Jones average down 182 points on the day right now. The NASDAQ is down 21. And our KSL weather, it looks like we're going to warm up through the rest of the week. That's next. KSL News Time, 11:01.
Start your days with knowledgeable, friendly voices telling you about the latest news and weather out there.
Hi, this is Tim Hughes and Amanda Dixon
In the business of waking you up each morning from 5 to 9.
on KSL News Radio.
Want to annihilate payroll problems? Wipe them out with Paycom. Paycom torches timesheet errors like a flamethrower. Oh, obliterates overtime blunders like a wrecking ball. Holy mackerel! And PTO problems? Paycom leaves them pulverized. Wow! Because with Paycom, employees do their own payroll right in the Paycom app. They find and fix errors before payroll submission, so HR can tackle important stuff, like performance incentives and retaining top producers, so your people can crush their goals. And with Paycom, employees enter and manage their own HR info, like onboarding, tax setup, and benefits enrollment. It's all in one powerful software with ironclad security. Stop doing that! Sick of HR and payroll headaches? Don't just eliminate them. Demolish them! At Paycom.com.
At aimyourdigital.com, we'll help you target the right audience, build your leads, and crush your quota. Take your business to the next level. Our digital marketing strategies help grow awareness of your product or service, all while building trust in your business. Our approach involves leveraging multiple tools and strategies to deliver exceptional results that are customized to your unique business needs. Don't wait to run out of sales leads. Keep your business growing. Get started with aimyourdigital.com today.
I found, Tim, that one of the hardest things about being a mom is just deciding what to cook for dinner every night.
I know.
Which is part of why I'm so excited to tell everybody about Beehive Meals.
It is a Utah company, and at some point we're going to have to tell the story of the Jacksons and how they actually got this going in 2019. But if you've been struggling with having tacos one night and spaghetti another night, Open up your world for dinner with things like Mongolian beef stir fry or Parmesan honey pork roast.
Your family dinner has just never been easier than it is with these. They're pre-assembled freezer meals. I put it in the crock pot. I set it for how long it needs to go. It stays warm after that. And that way, if the family can't all eat together, if one person has basketball and another, it's just warm for whenever they're ready.
And by the way, less than $3.50 per serving. You couldn't go out to the store or out to dinner, certainly on your own, for that price.
You're absolutely right, Tim. I couldn't buy the ingredients for any less.
Start it for your family right now. Go to beehivemeals.com.
I switched to Boost Mobile and got a free Samsung Galaxy A23 5G phone. Want to know the best part?
It was free?
Nope.
The fact that it's on America's largest 5G networks?
Nope. It's the ding.
Oh yeah, love the ding.
Right? It's all about the ding. It's the dingarooski, the dingaroner, the ring-a-ding-ding.
Unleash your power to save with Boost. Get a free Samsung Galaxy A23 5G phone when you switch. Boost Mobile. Unleash your power.
And the ding.
Limited time offer. New customers only. Available on select networks. 5G not available everywhere. One device per line. Tax excluded. Additional restrictions apply. See your local Boost Mobile store for details.
If you've got a honey-do list with electrical, plumbing, heating, or air conditioning projects on it, Any Hour Services can help. Call Any Hour Services. Electrical, plumbing, heating, and air. AnyHourServices.com.
Traffic and weather together brought to you by Granite Credit Union's High Yield Savings Certificates. Here's Ricky Meese.
Visibility getting better along I-80 in the upper portion of Parley's Canyon. And where we had slowdowns, those have eased. In Tooele County, a crash at Vine Street and Main Street. That's not expected to be cleared for about another hour. Gillette Heating and Air Conditioning is offering spring air conditioner tune-ups for only $59. Call 801-825-4500 to schedule today. A Carrier Factory authorized dealer. Ricky Meese in the KSL Traffic Center.
KSL weather. Winds die down today. It'll be partly cloudy with a high around 73 and then warm up through the rest of the week. Right now, 58 degrees and mostly cloudy at KSL News Radio, 102.7 FM, 1160 AM, and KSLNewsRadio.com. Your all-day companion for news.
Dave and Dujanovic have inside sources.
That's right. It is that time of the show, 11:06. We bring in Boyd Matheson. Mara Carabello, we've got just a rock star. I'm definitely the weak link, but I'm excited to have you two here. You guys are great. But Boyd, okay, so our producer came in, as they typically do, and say, okay, Boyd's coming in at 11. This is what we're going to talk about. And we like to kind of preview your show. So they give us some options. Like, what one speaks to you? And Carlos says, President Biden, started the campaign essentially this weekend. I'm like, oh, absolutely. I can't wait to talk about this because President Biden was at an End Gun Violence event in Connecticut. And this is what I caught. This is why you should not be on social media, because I'm sure there was a lot of good stuff in there. But all I saw was his ending comments. I'm going to play it for you and get your reaction. Remember, President Biden at an End Gun Violence event in Connecticut, and this is how he ends it.
God save the Queen, man.
Actually, we may have added the little music there at the end.
Actually, the music at the event was actually worse. It was John Philip Sousa.
Oh, wow. So it did contradict. Yeah.
Did he really end with God Save the Queen, man?
He did. He did.
Okay.
And actually, before that, he had a great John Wayne quote of don't make me a dog-faced lion pony soldier.
Yeah.
Which I'm still looking for definitions.
Yeah.
Do you know what that is, Mara?
Well, according to the article, it's just saying, don't make me a liar. This is the second time he has supposedly quoted the dog-faced pony soldier to mean, you make me a liar. I don't think anyone has been able to find John Wayne saying that yet, but that's just a little something, something.
Yeah, that was actually back in 2020 when he used that as at a town hall. And is fascinating. So he does have these little quips and quirks, and sometimes you'd put him in the dad joke category, and sometimes they're just a little bit a little sideways. And I think he got a little sideways with the God Save the Queen, man. Way to wrap up that particular town hall.
Yeah, he had an epic one, remember, in his State of the Union speech, too, in which he did say, lots of luck your senior year. Now, I will say in that instance, I had heard that phrase before.
Yes.
I had heard that phrase. He is known for a turn of the phrase.
Well, okay. Ronald Reagan is known for a turn of the phrase.
Yeah.
Joe Biden just says random stuff.
Okay, Dave, it's a little Yogi Berra, sure, right?
No, Yogi has a turn of phrase. Yogi stuff made sense. Way
in
more
an interesting way. But
Yeah,
it
in an
did make
interesting way.
sense.
But okay, Boyd, that as is typically the case, if you say something really weird, then that's what gets focused on. But as President Biden kind of launches this campaign now, going out, what stood out to you?
Yeah, so really interesting. If you look at all the events that he did over the last 4 days, again, ramping things up, getting out there in front of the public a little bit more from a campaign standpoint. I mean, there were some things that I think he did well in terms of just kind of getting back to some of the core pieces of the agenda. I think he got sideways a number of times, not just with the quirky ending at the one event, but I think he also has a really interesting thing that I don't know is good for him and his message when he was speaking in front of a union group in Philadelphia, and really almost Donald Trump-esque grievance message of, the Republicans are coming after your job. And just kept coming back and repeating that phrase. And so, again, I think there were a lot of things over the weekend that you could say, okay, the president hit the note there, and then he had a few clunkers and clankers that I think are a distraction to what he's trying to actually do.
Yeah, he certainly hasn't hit his stride, I mean, that's what it felt like. One of the things that they have the opportunity to do, which is always easier than it sounds, which is they have a record to run on. They have victories to tout. Now, whether you buy them or not is a different thing, but they have victories to tout. And I haven't seen them sort of reach that point where you look and say, okay, he's got his message. He also, I don't know how to say this any other way. I'd love your response, Boyd, is he's saying too much. He's talking too much. And his energy isn't fitting that. And the Joe Biden, I think, that's going to be successful is going to be more succinct and a little more energetic.
Yeah, could not agree with that more. I think one of the we always used to say, right before any candidate gets on a stage, the last things you say, keep it short, no crowd surfing.
Right.
And I think the president violated both of those rules because he does feel that energy from a crowd of supporters, and that's usually where he gets into one of these sideways phrases, or he just stays too long in the moment and ends up losing it all. You don't get those nice punchy things that people can say, oh, that's the guy I voted for. Yeah, that's why I think it's good for him to be in the White House. And often it's too much. It's either too cute by half or just too long by 2 or 3 times.
So when you talk about crowd surfing, explain that a little bit more for folks that may not be in the know.
I just used a Joe Biden phrase, actually, crowd surfing. So crowd surfing is whenever you're on a stage, and this happens to politicians and business leaders and even comedians, rock stars, and you're just caught in that moment. Many people remember the Howard Dean moment.
Right.
Got caught up in the energy and the emotion and did this big old yeehaw, and that was the beginning of the end. And often it is where politicians in particular make mistakes. You have a message to go out and deliver. You have a way to respond to the crowd in a positive way. And if you suddenly think that they love you more than anything on this planet, you start saying dumb stuff. And it always ends up backfiring in the end. And so just staying on the stage a little too long, getting too cute. Sometimes you'll say a line to the crowd, and the crowd just gives you this awesome feedback, like they just love it. And so if some is good, more is better.
Yeah.
And you do one more, and the one more is crowd surfing, and it never ends well.
Where is when you say more energy, Mara, when you say more concise message, is that in his tool belt? Is that even a possibility? Because as we've watched over the last several years, Joe Biden on the Senate floor was one thing. Joe Biden, the president, has not been any of those things, neither concise nor energetic.
He was known back in the day. He was even known during his vice presidency, particularly in groups, of being really able to respond to the moment and being really present and being very there. I think we haven't as of late, as you imply. I don't think we're seeing it more. So really candidly, part of that, and this is not unique to Joe Biden, but part of that is the campaign crafting the opportunity for him a little better.
Yeah, and that is so important. Staffing matters. staffing matters. And a lot of times when a candidate, again, doesn't matter what party, doesn't matter what position, but when a candidate gets off script, off message, there's a good chance that either the campaign was trying to do too much or didn't give enough guidance in terms of whatever you do on that stage today, you got 3 things you've got to say. And once you say those 3 things, don't say anything else. In fact, I always remember Rex Lee, former president of BYU, former solicitor general. He often talked about the fact that most court cases are lost after the attorney has made the point and they keep talking. And so once you make the point, stop talking, which is what I'm going to do right now.
Well, that reminds me.
Save the queen, man.
That's your out. That's your out cue. Man, Boyd, I teed it up for you. A perfect opportunity for you to say, thanks, Dave, for having me on. God save the queen.
Exactly.
It was perfect.
It's a king now.
It's a king, queen. I mean, it's so wrong on we're not, we're not British. That's not our thing, and I'm not sure it was the thing in Connecticut. And can I just say the worst thing ever? And as a former staffer, Boyd, how do you spin this? Because they're coming back and they try to spin it like, oh well, he was trying to talk to somebody that he had talked to earlier, and you're spinning around. Do you just take the loss?
Take the loss.
Yeah, just take the loss. You're like, yeah, I don't.
Spinning leads to more spinning.
Yeah, spinning. This is a washing machine. You just say, I don't know what he was talking about.
Rinse, cycle, get a new message out, and move on.
Yep.
Boyd Matheson, Inside Sources today from 1 to 3. Up next, I know you think we're terrible drivers here in Utah. Like, we have a bad reputation. Even amongst ourselves, we think we're terrible drivers. But did you know that Utah is hitting the top of the list for worst states for road rage, according to a recent Forbes article?
Dave and Dujanovic.
Hi, it's Tim Hughes and Amanda Dixon.
Why should you start your day with us?
We have decades of news experience between us.
And we take your trust seriously.
Come here for news tomorrow, 5 to 9.
On KSL.
Removing the Bible may be just the beginning.
When the legislature passes a law to preclude certain conduct, sometimes it catches things that they never intended to catch.
In the case of unintended consequences.
This is actually something the majority of parents don't want to see.
Reporter Amy Kobabe goes cover to cover on the story. Battle of the Books, this week on KSL News Radio.
If your water heater's over 10 to 15 years old, congratulations. You've beat the average. What's up, everybody? I'm Mike Wilson with Any Hour Services, and I love hearing stories of people having water heaters that are really old and they're still doing their job. Unfortunately, most of us won't be that lucky. And when water heaters fail, it's usually in spectacularly inconvenient fashion. Whether it's an unexpected cold shower when we're already running late for work, or worse yet, coming home to a flooded basement, it's never fun. If you'd like to look into replacing your water heater before it fails, Any Hour Services is having a sale for any homeowners listening. Whether you're looking for a new tanked water heater or you want to see what upgrading to a tankless would cost, the plumbers at Any Hour Services can show you what options are available. And right now, you can save $400 on a tanked water heater or $1,200 on a tankless. If you think you might be interested, call Any Hour Services today and schedule your free estimate. 801-443-7400. You can Google Any Hour Services. You can even schedule online at anyhourservices.com. No one helps more homeowners than Any Hour Services.
Troy, I want to spoil the crud out of our amazing customers during Bish's RV Customer Appreciation Month.
Oh, I'm with you. We're throwing the biggest customer appreciation sale in our history.
Okay, this should be good.
For starters, employee pricing is back on select RVs. Go to Bish's.com and click the Get Lowest Price button.
Stop! Cut the music.
What the heck?
You're leading with employee pricing? You gotta save your best for last, not first.
Can I just get back to the sale?
Just saying. Hit it, guys.
On top of employee pricing on select RVs, we're giving you 90 days no payments for all play and no pay OAC.
That's good too.
And no reasonable offer will be refused on remaining 2022s.
Whoa.
Plus, we'll trade anything. Just ask.
Cut the music.
What now?
Sorry, just feeling a little power hungry.
Is that it?
Yep, you're doing great. Hit it, guys.
Get employee pricing, 90 days no payments OAC, amazing trade value, and more during Customer Appreciation Month at Bish's RV in North Salt Lake and our new location in American Fork. Bish's RV, where memories begin.
Hey, Derek Overstreet here from the New Millennium Group, financial advisors in Utah. You know, I've been helping people retire in the state of Utah for the last 20 years. The way we do that is we actually find out what is important to you. We create a step-by-step plan that takes into consideration your income, your debt, whether you want money from real estate, stock market, annuities, life insurance, whatever. If you want to deal with professionals, people that are fiduciaries and have a legal responsibility and obligation to do what's in your best interest, give my team a call at 888-999-6370. That's 888-999-6370. Or go to my website, utahsfinancialplanner.com. If you'd like to retire 3 to 5 years before you thought it was possible, give my team a call right now. 888-999-6370. That's 888-999-6370.
I am a soul line dance instructor.
This is Rhonda.
I just love dancing, so I was always willing to dance through the pain, but it was really starting to catch up with me. I've had foot pain, leg pain, everything pain.
And this is Rhonda's Good Feet story.
I was using any and everything that I could to help alleviate the pain.
None of that worked. Until
since visiting the Good Feet store and incorporating the arch supports into my life, I definitely have not felt the pain. I can't even really verbalize just how much better I feel. My mood and my energy has just drastically improved. I'm still actually in awe. Wearing the arch supports and being pain-free now, I am able to dance longer. Dancing is just a joy.
Now that is one heck of a Good Feet story.
I do want to tell everyone about it.
And now you have.
So, yeah.
See how we can help you with a free arch support fitting at the Good Feet store.
Stop by the Good Feet store in Farmington, Riverton, or Sandy for a free fitting. Call 1-800-NEW-FEET or visit mygoodfeet.com. Advanced Window Products. Factory direct affordable windows. Call today and they're on their way. Financing available. Save now, pay later. 801-850-9100 or advancedwindowsusa.com.
With the three things you need to know this hour, I'm Dan Bomas. First, Utah Jazz fans will be able to watch games on free broadcast TV next season. Second, Congressman Chris Stewart has endorsed one of his staffers, Celeste Malloy, in the special election to replace him. Third, searchers say they're covering an area the size of Connecticut as they try to locate a missing submersible near the wreck of the Titanic. Right now, 58 degrees, mostly cloudy in Salt Lake City. Back to Dave and Dujanovic on KSL News Radio.
Dave and Dujanovic.
Okay, Utah, you're known for a few things. Number one, you're known for green jello, oddly enough, with carrots. I can't believe I've never had that, but for some reason, we're known for that.
Yeah.
I've never had that.
I've had that.
I've had the funeral potatoes. No question. I've lived on those things. Those are outstanding. And I know we like Jell-O in general. I don't know about the green Jell-O with carrot thing.
But
never had that.
You do have your favorite fry sauce, I'm assuming.
Obviously.
Oh.
I mean, obviously.
Come on.
I've never dipped a fry in anything but fry sauce. I tried it with ketchup once. That was disgusting. I don't know what you weirdos do on the East Coast. And in Canada, they do the vinegar and the salt. Okay. So we're known for a lot of things. I'm fine with that. This one I'm not so excited about. We shouldn't be known for this, but according to a recent Forbes article, Utah was listed as one of the worst states. Well, not listed as one, but actually as the worst state for road rage. We got a perfect score, 100 out of 100 apparently, for road rage. And I guess maybe some recency bias, Mara. We've had several incidents.
That's the thing. Some tragic incidences recently.
The one down in Utah County that involved a truck that had basically gotten into this road rage fight with a sedan, had driven up on the side, had started ramming it,
right,
and then crosses over this 2-lane highway and hits head on a Porsche. And kills the two innocent bystanders.
Not involved at all. And that's when it really hits you about sort of this, what maybe started out as impatience or whatever turns into this needless death that is just painful.
And now you have the man that was part of that road rage charged with manslaughter, charged with a crime, and can spend a lot of time behind bars. So just devastating, but road rage happens in so many ways. The study reveals that more than 3/4 of Utah residents have experienced being honked at in frustration, the highest rate in the entire country. Now, come on. 3/4 of Utahns have honked or been honked at? Like, that's 100%, right?
Oh, for sure. And I think, when we were reporting this earlier, you had said that in another study, I want to say 85% of us reported, feeling road rage. And 85 is 100% of us. I mean, so we've all been honked at. I have been honked at in frustration.
And how many of us have, when somebody is road raging against us, because again, we would never do it ourselves,
exactly.
But when
this is other people,
when other people are road raging against us, and perhaps tailgating, have you ever tapped on your brakes? Have you ever brake checked somebody? Because what happens is this kind of tit for tat, back and forth. Right. You do something, right. You flash the international sign of friendship and brotherhood
exactly
to me, and I flip it back.
You reciprocate.
Yeah, you reciprocate. But over 1/4 of Utahns personally know someone that has been injured in a road rage incident, according to this. That is a huge number. I had a buddy tell me, one of the nicest human beings I've ever met, and he told me about a time that he road raged against somebody.
Okay.
And he was with his son. His son was probably 8 or 10 years old at the time. He was in the car with him.
Okay.
And somebody cuts him off. He basically says, "You pull over." So they both pull over. He gets out of his vehicle.
Wow.
And he runs up very aggressively to this vehicle. And he's yelling and screaming at the individual, like, "Roll down your window." And he starts pounding on the window. He was so transparent. It was heartbreaking to listen to him tell the story, because he was actually really bothered by it. But he pounds on the window. The person doesn't roll down, and he realizes how insane he's being. So he returns back to his vehicle, and his son is huddled down on the baseboards of the car, so upset, just crying, because his dad had flipped out.
Right, been that upset.
And he said, at that moment, I realized I will never, ever lose it like that again.
And for naught. We're talking about shaving 2 minutes off your trip, or maybe even not, or maybe just, the impact, what you get out of it is nothing.
Yes.
In terms of time gain, or I don't know what you were, or teaching someone a lesson, I say with air quotes, it doesn't work.
I tell my kids all the time, when someone drives and speeds past me, or zips past, if you ever see any of those kind of wild behaviors, I pointed out to my kids, I said, there they are, saving 7 seconds.
Yeah.
And so often, as they're weaving in and out of traffic, you'll end up pulling up right alongside them. They've saved no time.
Exactly.
Because it happens all the time.
Yeah. Okay, here are my 3 random thoughts about it. First, I'm blaming phones.
Yes.
Right? So put the phones down. And I say this to myself, right? Like our addiction to phones, not turning left because we're reading our phone. So 1, I think phones are really hurting driving skills.
Yeah.
2, I think Utahns, we still, for whatever reason, think of ourselves as rural and open, and we're not. We're urban. And so driving means driving, like get active about it and put all of your time and energy into actually driving. I don't think we give enough attention. Our cars are so well equipped now that you barely need to be able to do anything, because our cars are driving half the time more than we are. So 2, I think we all need to get a little more serious. Back in the day when you had to shift and your steering wheel didn't drive itself and you had to work a little harder to drive, I think we were probably better drivers because it took more attention to drive. So 1 is drive. Here's my 3rd philosophy. I know, they're all random philosophies. My 3rd philosophy is, if you're that angry, you just need to express yourself outside the car more. Maybe you shouldn't. You need to express your emotions. What are we all carrying around that we're so frustrated and annoyed that I'm like, emote more. I'm a good Irish. I say emote more in your daily life and your road rage needs will go down. But I think a lot of it is, it's so easy to drive now. We're not paying attention to driving.
The National Transportation and Safety Board have tracked the top causes for road rage.
Okay.
And you're right on.
Oh, wow. I was going to say, okay. So
yeah, no, it's interesting how many times, I'm like, yep, that's one of them. Time, being late for something, being behind on something, trying to rush to something is number one or number two on the list of reasons why people rage, because they haven't left themselves enough time to get to a place. So then every time somebody cuts you off, and the chances are they're not really cutting you off, you're just driving erratically as you're moving in and out of lanes.
Right.
And people don't really know what you're doing. But we want to take your phone calls. Why do you think Utah is number one, according to this Forbes article, number one worst state for road rage? And we just talked to the Utah Highway Patrol, and they told us you can't measure all the road rage incidents because not all of them end up with someone, getting hurt or shot, but they said they deal with 700 to 800 crashes a year involving road rage. That's more than 2 a day that have crashes
right.
that are road rage related. So we want to take your phone calls. 801-575-TALK. 801-575-TALK. I think we have Mark on the line already. Mark, I love that you already called in. If you don't mind, stick around for another 5 minutes, but I want to hear what is the reason behind it, and then what is the solution? What can we do to curb road rage? Can we punish people out of this bad behavior, or do you have to incentivize it some way? Carrot or stick? I don't know what the carrot would be. I don't know how you incentivize it, but I certainly know how you would punish your way out of it. But give us a call, 801-575-TALK. Road rage.
It's 11:30 at KSL News Radio. I'm Dan Bonas. KSL's top story this hour, Congressman Chris Stewart talking about who he wants to fill his seat. He's giving his endorsement to Celeste Malloy. Malloy happens to be the congressman's chief legal counsel on his staff. We've learned Congressman Stewart will be stepping down effective September 15th to take care of family issues. A new statement from the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints advises members to do their homework before casting a ballot in the next political contest. KSL News Radio's Michael Commit reports.
The statement from the First Presidency this month encourages members to thoroughly research candidates before voting and to avoid straight-ticket voting. It goes on to call uninformed voting a threat to democracy and says that's inconsistent with revealed standards.
The church has since updated its political neutrality and participation page and reiterates its commitment to political neutrality. Our top national story this hour from ABC News. President Biden's son Hunter is being offered a plea deal. He'll plead guilty to 2 misdemeanor tax charges and go into a diversion program on a felony gun charge. The deal means he'll likely avoid jail time. Republican Senator Lindsey Graham is wondering why the deal is so lenient.
The questions that a lot of people have on our side, is this a sweetheart deal? Why did it take 5 years to come up with these charges?
The White House says the president and Mrs. Biden love their son and they'll support him while he tries to rebuild his life. Your money at this moment, the Dow Jones average down 154 points on the day right now. The NASDAQ, though, down just 3 points right now. And our KSL weather, things are going to warm up and clear up. That's next. KSL News Time, 11:32.
This summer, the political season heats up.
By August, it'll be time for debates. Can you believe it?
We're planning coverage of the real issues, the important stories that impact how we live.
Listen each morning from 5 to 9 on KSL News Radio.
Have you Googled yourself lately? Are there negative posts from an ex-employee or from a former client? Maybe an outdated news article or sensitive personal information about your family? Search engines don't always get it right. For right or wrong, it's your reputation on the line. That's where Reputation Defender by Norton comes in. One of the most trusted names in online reputation repair, Reputation Defender has been fixing people's search results for over 15 years. Their cutting-edge approaches help you to wipe away unwanted information in your search results. They also promote the good stuff so that it rises to the top, helping you put your best foot forward. Your good name is too valuable to leave to the whims of a Google algorithm. Take control with Reputation Defender. You can start by getting your free reputation report card at reputationdefender.com or call 800-401-6681 to speak to an expert. That's 800-401-6681.
Hey guys, Alex and Scott for Alpine Home Medical. It is spring. It is time for us to start thinking about getting out and going out into the outdoors and enjoying our lives a little bit more. And Alpine Home Medical is there to help you on that journey. And even if it's tough for you, look, if you need to get some things for your personal health to be dialed in, this is the time to do it. And Alpine Home Medical are the ones to call to get it done.
Yeah, I've loved my experience going to Alpine Home Medical. They're friendly. They get things done. They work through your insurance, through your doctor, and they get you out being able to live life. I have a CPAP machine that I've had with them for years, and they're great to work with me and really create an experience where I'm not limited. You know, I can enjoy life, but I can also take care of my medical needs, and they can do that for you. If you have struggles, challenges, or whatever, they're going to find the right products to help you kind of climb your own mountain to health and wellness.
CPAP resupply program, the portable oxygen, comfortable lift chairs, bathroom safety needs, so much more. AlpineHomeMedical.com. They've got 10 locations in Utah and southern Idaho, and a brand new location coming soon. Visit them at AlpineHomeMedical.com.
There's a right way and a wrong way to fight off mosquitoes. Karate chopping the air, in a public place, in front of your kids, and their friends, Mom, is the wrong way. Using STEM mosquito repellent is the right way. STEM effectively repels mosquitoes by harnessing active ingredients found in plants, like lemongrass and peppermint, making it safe for use as directed around people and pets. STEM, rooted in nature, optimized by science, and embarrassment-free.
Yeah, I'm so stressed. Our business is growing. We've got people all over now.
Ooma.
What is that? Meditation?
I'm recommending the Ooma cloud phone system with auto attendant and more than 50 features.
Ooma?
Yep. Switching to Ooma is a cinch. Just $24.95 per month per user, plus taxes and fees.
Ooma.
Now you're feeling it. Find small business calm at ooma.com/radio. That's OOMA.com/radio.
Traffic and weather together brought to you by Granite Credit Union's High Yield Savings Certificates. Here's Ricky Meese.
Look for a small accident southbound I-15, just about 146 south. It is out of traffic over to the left shoulder. And also for those traveling SR 92 in American Fork Canyon, we do have utility work on the eastbound side of SR 92 at Canyon Road. They have blocked off the road. It's closed until that utility work can be completed. A must-see Utah Symphony performance of Star Wars Episode 7, The Force Awakens, in concert. The entire movie plays on the big screen as the Utah Symphony performs the full score in sync with the film. Ricky Meese in the KSL Traffic Center.
KSL weather. Winds die down today. It'll be partly cloudy with a high around 73, then warming up through the rest of the week. And right now, 60 degrees and mostly cloudy at KSL News Radio, 102.7 FM, 1160 AM, and KSLNewsRadio.com. Your all-day companion for news.
David Dujanovic.
We are going to talk about road rage in a minute, but I want to give you a little bit of an update. There are still 5 people on board that are basically at a submarine, like a commercial submarine. It's a touristy thing to go look at the Titanic. Well, those 5 people on board have been missing. And let me play a little bit. Fox News right now is following this story, and I want to dip into them for a minute.
Main up there, and pressure sank in 8,000 feet of water. She was doing test dives to test depth, and due to poor design of the ballast systems and the emergency main ballast tank blow systems and things like that, when Thresher suffered a flooding casualty, meaning water coming in and the reactor shut down, they couldn't propel themselves to the surface. The ship just continued to descend, and most likely about 2,000 feet is where it imploded. And in your description of a crushed soda can, in fact, it was, Thresher was found in hundreds, if not thousands of pieces eventually at 8,000 feet.
And as he talks about a past submersible that was destroyed in 2,000 feet of water, to give you an idea, the Titanic sits at over 12,000 feet below sea level. So the pressure, obviously, incredible. And I just saw a Coast Guard update that said we've been reporting that they have about 10 to 15 hours left of oxygen, but the Coast Guard is saying that they have about 40 hours of oxygen
and
left.
that's the race to find them before their oxygen wears out.
Yeah. Okay, moving back to Utah road rage. Utah was recently named as the road ragiest. I know that's not a word, but listen, you know what I'm saying. Utah is the road ragiest. Utah got a perfect score, 100 out of 100. Congratulations, Utah. Nice job. So we're taking your phone calls, 801-575-TALK. Let us know. Where do you see it? What causes it? Are there any solutions? Let's start off. Mark, you've been holding for a while. Thank you for joining us. Mark in Provo. Tell us your road rage incident.
You bet. And this happened December 3rd, 2022 at about 8:20 in the morning, where nobody's on the road typically. It was a Saturday. I was on Bangerter Highway, and Ricky can vouch for me on this one. I help the guy that comes around on December 25th. Okay, I'm one of his helpers.
Okay.
And I am in complete Santa game face, bells, everything. And I'm just taking my time going down Bangerter Highway. All of a sudden, the car gets up behind me, starts blinking its lights on me. So I go to get out of the way, and as I go to turn on my signal, go to turn. Well, he wants to get around me at the same time. So he turns, almost rear ends me, goes ballistic, gets on my side, starts flipping the bird, pounding his fist on his dash and at me. I kind of wave at him and give him a thumbs up like, hey, sorry. And you know, I've got to focus on driving when you got that beard on. It robs your peripheral vision a little bit. So he's in such a hurry, he decides he's going to follow me, and he's following me, flipping me off, waving his fist, leaning underneath his chair as if I've got a gun out here. I'm horrified. I get off Bangerter Highway at Redwood Road, make a U-turn. He U-turns behind me, back onto Bangerter Highway. I can't get his license plate number because he has no front plate. I did notice he was from California when he finally passed me. But so I don't know why I didn't think about it right off the bat, but then I finally called the police and I tell them what's going on and where I'm going. And I waving my phone at him like I'm on the phone with the police. That doesn't do anything. And he's literally 5 to 10 feet.
Oh, wow.
Just tailgating me the whole time. And
going
finally,
after Santa Claus. That's incredible.
Going after Santa. And so
That's
finally
rough.
I arrived to this church where I'm going to do a church party. And the parking lot, thank goodness, full of cars and people coming into the party. Usually I'd park, off-site so the kids don't see it. Well, I flew into that parking lot, and, then I had to go in and act perfectly normal and try to perform like I wasn't a basket of nerves. I now see where the Santas get these reputation of sitting in dirty bars, drinking whiskey and smoking cigarettes. But
He's got some.
If that
had
guy
quite
could
the
beat up
experience, Santa. If you're road raging against Santa, folks, listen, you might need some professional help. Jake in Magna, what do you think?
My story is kind of similar to what was shared. I mean, how many times have we been on an interstate and there's a guy or a male or female screaming up the road, and you're in the left lane and you're basically going fast, but this guy wants to go faster. And you want to be courteous and give him the lane, but he's going so fast that he wants to get around you. That is always terrible because people who want to get past you, naturally the left lane is the one you want to be fastest in.
Yeah.
But people who disregard proper driving behavior, and especially if they're going well over the speed limit, they need to give you the time to move out of the way and assume that you're attentive to the people behind you too, because any decent driver will do that. But so one of the things is people think that they're better than the speed limits posted, and they think that, the people are not watching behind them to adjust to people who maybe want to go faster. So that's one culprit. The other thing that really, and if you look at the stats, and with that story you previously mentioned, the gentleman that got out of his car and, upset his son. I mean, one of the things that compounds it the worst is when there's a gun in the car. because I mean, and I've got nothing against guns personally, but there is nothing good that's going to come from a situation if there's a gun that is being carried or brandished in a situation like that. And
well, Jake, let me tell you, I looked at the stats on that, and it was incredible. Last year, maybe it was 21 or 22, there were 121 shooting deaths due to road rage in America. 121, and that was such a shocking number to me, Maura. I compared it to the public mass shootings.
Mm-hmm.
I'm talking about Uvalde. I'm talking about the New York subway and the supermarket in Buffalo. And I counted up how many people were murdered in those public mass shootings that we cover all the time. 71 people murdered in the mass shootings.
So more were shot with guns as associated with road rage.
Nearly double. It was incredible. We have about a minute left, but I want to get out to Rick in Salt Lake City. Rick, it sounds like you used to be a road rager?
I was a road rager, absolutely.
Are you still?
No. Let me tell you what happened. About 30 years ago, it got to the point where it was so bad I had to actually go see somebody and get this figured out. And this therapist told me, he said, Rick, here's your problem. You think that guy that cut you off or is flashing you, or what, he knows you. He says, hey, that's Rick, and I'm gonna make him mad. I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna do that.
You took it personally, right?
Yeah, I took every one of them personally. And he says, you can't take that personally. And think about it this way: what happens if that guy had a family member that just got in a car accident really bad, and he's headed to the hospital?
You start changing the narrative, right?
And when we all know when an incident like that happens, we're not thinking clearly, and we got so many things on our mind that as soon as he told me that, from that moment on, if somebody cut me off or did something that I would usually want to follow them or stop them and ask them why, but from that moment on, I just start saying, I hope everything's okay.
Good advice.
That's a good paradigm shift. Thank you, Rick. And sometimes you're right. I think it may take a therapist to help, get through some of those emotions, because it's obviously a reaction that it's an overreaction. And we don't know exactly where that might come from.
Yeah, figure out what's going on with us and leave road rage behind.
All right. Final segment. Holy cow, that has been a fast 3 hours. When we come back, we'll go over the top story of our show, talking about St. George, who was just told by a federal judge that they must allow a drag show to be performed in a public park.
Dave and Dujanovic. Before Dave and Debbie get started each day, this station is all news all morning.
And later today, we follow up on those stories as you drive home.
Get important news all morning and all afternoon.
Here on KSL News Radio.
Text us here in the studio and give us your opinion. The Cyprus Credit Union KSL text line at 57500.
This is Derek Miller speaking on business. Small businesses are the heart of our community, and each has its own story to tell. Women's Business Center of Utah 2019 Entrepreneur of the Year, founder of Chosen Creative and the Utah Letter Writing Club, Camilla Johnson, shares more about her story.
I believe in the power of the pen and the impact that the written word has on our society. So in 2017, I launched Chosen Creative Stationery. Each card, wall art, or product is created with the message of empowerment and strength, because sometimes you just need a reminder to keep going. Trauma is a given. If you live on this earth long enough, you will have letdowns, breakups, disappointments, and setbacks. However, this is where my products come in. Each one uplifts and builds healthy mindsets and a better way of looking at life. Then in 2018, I started the Utah Letter Writing Club, which brings the Utah community around a table to write letters of hope, love, and encouragement to the world. We are the only club in Utah of its kind and are listed on the Global Correspondence Society directory for letter writing clubs. Both businesses work together in unison to build our community up.
Chosen Creative and the Utah Letter Writing Club are small businesses making an impact on our community and state. For more information, visit the Chosen Creative website. I'm Derek Miller with the Salt Lake Chamber, speaking on business.
If your water heater's over 10 to 15 years old, congratulations. You've beat the average. What's up, everybody? I'm Mike Wilson with Any Hour Services, and I love hearing stories of people having water heaters that are really old and they're still doing their job. Unfortunately, most of us won't be that lucky. And when water heaters fail, it's usually in spectacularly inconvenient fashion. Whether it's an unexpected cold shower when we're already running late for work, or worse yet, coming home to a flooded basement, it's never fun. If you'd like to look into replacing your water heater before it fails, Any Hour Services is having a sale for any homeowners listening. Whether you're looking for a new tanked water heater or you want to see what upgrading to a tankless would cost, the plumbers at Any Hour Services can show you what options are available. And right now, you can save $400 on a tanked water heater or $1,200 on a tankless. If you think you might be interested, call Any Hour Services today and schedule your free estimate. 801-443-7400. You can Google Any Hour Services. You can even schedule online at anyhourservices.com. No one helps more homeowners than Any Hour Services.
Guys, did you know your testosterone affects everything in your system, including how you feel and perform every day? Right now, Revive Men's Health Salt Lake City will check your testosterone for free. Knowing your T levels is the first step in understanding if you have low T. Your testosterone level impacts your energy, libido, sleep, weight, hair loss, mood, and even ED. Maintaining an appropriate T level can change your whole life. Most men start to see changes in their hormone levels in their 30s. Experience and results matter. So what are you waiting for? Get your T levels checked today by local, experienced, and trusted men's health experts. They've helped thousands of men since 2011. They're so confident they can help you, they even guarantee it. Call Revive today and schedule your free testosterone test, free exam, and free consultation. Call Revive Men's Health at 801-263-7777. That's 801-263-7777. Or visit ReviveMen'sHealth.com.
At KSL News Radio, we have a 30-year legacy of honoring Utah teachers, but we can't do it without your help. Please tell us about an important teacher in your life on the KSL Teacher Tribute Wall, presented by Cypress Credit Union. Each month, one lucky teacher wins a $500 gift card from Cypress Credit Union, a $250 gift card to Harmon's, plus season tickets to Hale Center Theater. Say thanks to your teacher today at kslnewsradio.com/teacher from Cypress Credit Union and KSL News Radio.
With the three things you need to know this hour, I'm Dan Bomas. First, Congressman Chris Stewart is endorsing a staffer, Celeste Malloy, in the campaign to replace him in the House of Representatives. Second, the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints says it's neutral on political races, but it's urging its members to avoid straight-ticket voting. And third, some Republicans are wondering why President Biden's son Hunter is getting a lenient deal from federal prosecutors. Right now, 60 degrees, mostly cloudy in Salt Lake City. And back to Dave and Dujanovic on KSL News Radio.
Dave and Dujanovic. Special coverage of the top local story.
All right, the city of St. George has now been officially reprimanded by a federal judge because St. George, let's play a little rewind, a little catch up, had a city manager that had somebody ask for a permit to hold a drag show in a public park. And he said, okay, yes, that's okay. Then the city council gets involved and say, we don't want that happening in St. George. So they tried to revoke, or I guess they did. They revoked the permit. And they basically had to fire. I guess fire is the best way to say it. They fired the city manager. They paid him $600,000 to go away and promised not to sue the city. But the city manager leaves, costs him $600,000. And now a federal judge says, yeah, you can't say no to this program. And now the city of St. George has had to approve or allow for this drag show to happen.
And the judge specifically said, quote, public spaces are public places, not private places. Public spaces are not majority spaces. The First Amendment of the United States Constitution ensures that all citizens, popular or not, majority or minority, conventional or unconventional, have access to public spaces for public expression. That was what the judge wrote Judge David Nuffer. He wrote in the ruling when he said to St. George City, hey, listen, you guys can't just replace your opinion for the public law.
The drag show was being put on by a local entity, but it was all part of HBO, who has a show. The HBO has a drag show that they called We're Here, where they basically put on these performances in different cities around the country. They record the episode. Obviously, they interview kind of both sides, people that are very supportive of the drag show, people that are going against it. In fact, I found the trailer from the HBO series We're Here, and this was in regards to the St. George show.
This is the moment, baby. The drag queens are coming. You would think we were like Jurassic Park, you know, where the glass, the water just starts shaking. That's our heels coming.
Question is, where are the gays hiding?
So as this has kind of played out over, how long has it been? It seems like it's been over a year.
Well, this is
now,
over a couple of years. I mean,
right?
so it wasn't a one-time event. They had one in 2022. They were petitioning to have it again in 2023.
So we brought on KSL legal analyst Greg Skordas, and we asked him, why can't cities ban an event like this?
Events like this can happen, and cities can regulate what we call time, place, and manner, but they can't just ban it altogether. I mean, we started with cases involving, if you recall, the KKK wanting to march, and cities going, oh, we can't have that, and the ACLU came in, you know, representing a group that they really don't support, but the First Amendment allows groups to and marching certainly isn't what was happening here, but it's a display that is protected by the First Amendment, and the city can regulate it, but they can't just ban it outright.
Time, place, and manner. That's what you can regulate.
For First Amendment. Most commonly we say, you know, you can't yell fire in a crowded theater, right? You can regulate your time, your place, your manner, how you speak, but not speech itself.
There are some Republican governors who have put in place or supported legislation and laws restricting what goes on at a drag show. For example, Florida Governor Ron DeSantis signed a ban on minors attending drag shows. Montana Governor Greg Gianforte? Yeah. John Forte? I can't remember. He banned drag reading book. They're reading to children at public schools and libraries. Said that you can't do that. So you have a couple Republican governors that have kind of clamped down. So, you know, how does that work versus, you know, what is not allowed in St. George in the drag shows?
I mean, for me, my reaction to those things are that they're pure political theater. They're cultural awards, and they're picking us and them. So I don't know that I don't know that these will go through the court cases, but I think what these governors were doing is making political statements about things. I mean, I think it also, in fairness, if we want to balance this discussion, in fairness, it should be said that we can find clips and have clips and members of the community who find these events transformative from being able to see people who are celebrating themselves like they celebrate themselves and feeling love and acceptance in a space. So while one are perceiving this as threatening and they're fearful of it and they're afraid, and that's where I think the St. George Council was coming from, you also need to see that the part of the community sees this as uplifting and, in fact, an affirming activity, which is, again, what distinguishes it maybe from speech instead of content. I mean, we were talking earlier about nudity is content that I think everyone in the collective sphere should say, that's not for the public square, right? Like, that's not for everyone to consume.
But even when it comes to nudity, if you think of a strip club or something like that, there are some kind of strange definitions of what is considered nudity and what is not.
Right.
You know, if you use pasties or something like that, all of a sudden that's not nude, but it certainly isn't appropriate for most ages, or at least for
in
children.
Utah, we couple drinking with nudity, and we say if you're drinking, here's what you can show. If you're not drinking, here's what you can show. I mean,
Yeah.
right? Okay, that's interesting.
Yeah, no, it's very, and I think this is kind of the fine line we're trying to find.
Mhm.
You know, the public places versus the private institutions or a private business, what they're allowed to do as you mix with alcohol. So we're trying to figure out exactly what the appropriate line is. But
you know what, Dave? Morality is not what you have available to you. Morality is what you choose to consume. And that's where I sort of say the government does not need to get into the moral play as long as it's not harming anyone. What I would say is follow your moral compass. So don't consume, don't avail yourself or your kids to things that don't follow your moral compass.
Well, St. George has spent about $600,000 to have their city manager go away. They thought that might have been the end of it.
Plus
It is-
legal fees here.
Plus legal fees, no question. But sure enough, they're right back to to where they started. And the city manager, at least his initial decision to allow the drag show, it's been held up by the courts, the federal courts.
KSL FM Midvale, KSL Salt Lake City. Listen on the KSL News Radio app and in your car at 102.7 FM. KSL News Radio, your all-day companion for news.
Good afternoon. KSL News Time is 12 o'clock noon. This is Utah's Noon News. I'm Maria Chaleos. KSL's top story this hour. It is developing news. A desperate search continues for a submersible vessel that was heading to see the wreckage of the Titanic. U.S. Coast Guard First District Captain Jamie Frederick spoke within the last hour, saying more vessels are on their way to join the search.
Yeah, so right now all of our efforts are focused on finding the sub. What I will tell you is we have a group of our nation's best experts in the Unified Command, and if we get to that point, those experts will be looking at what the next course of action is.
Officials say just 40 hours of oxygen is left in the submarine-type ship with 5 people inside. We'll listen to a longer portion of the Coast Guard response at 12:45 during the KSL In-Depth. Leaders at the Salt Lake Airport are giving us a closer look at Phase 3 of the airport expansion. KSL News Radio's Adam Small is live at the airport with details. Adam?
Maria, we got an in-depth look at what Phase 3 is going to look like. This is a 9-gate extension of Concourse B as you're going east. So the first phase of the airport that broke ground in 2020, that was the new terminal part of Concourse A and Concourse B. They're still working on expanding the airport in phases, both of those concourses going eastward. Phase 3 is expanding Concourse B by the 5 gates. Those are going to open next fall, followed by another 4 in 2025, and then another 16 gates to this hopefully should be opening by the end of 2026, which is when Bill Wyatt, who's Salt Lake's director of airport, says they're hoping to have the entire expansion of the airport done, but maybe some plans after that. Reporting live from the Salt Lake Airport, Adam Small, KSL News Radio.
Disability advocates are pushing Congress to pass new rules which could allow passengers to sit in their own wheelchairs on airplanes. KSL News Radio's Heather Kelly has details.
Lawmakers are already working on some significant reforms for disabled passengers. The FAA reauthorization bill includes better training for airline employees and holding them accountable when mistakes are made, as almost 900 chairs and scooters were damaged in January of this year alone. But allowing people to sit in their own chairs will probably be put on the back burner for now. Airline insiders say they would have to get rid of standard seats to fit wheelchair accessibility, resulting in lower revenues. Advocates tell news website Axios wheelchair users can roll into buses and trains. Should airplanes be any different? Heather Kelly, KSL News Radio.
KSL Sports. Utah Jazz fans are going to be able to watch next season's games free. KSL Sports reports the games will stream on KJazz and will be available through a paid streaming platform on the team's website. In a press release, owner Ryan Smith said the new approach is one of the most important investments he's made since purchasing the team. KSL Sports beat writer Ben Anderson joins the show in just a few minutes to talk about what this deal will mean for Jazz fans. KSL's top national stories. President Biden's son Hunter is facing charges for tax misdemeanors, and a filing from the Justice Department shows that he's already pled guilty. House Speaker Kevin McCarthy says even with this expected guilty plea, the House Oversight Committee investigation into Hunter Biden will continue.
This does nothing to our investigation. It actually
should enhance our investigations because the DOJ should not be able to withhold any information now, saying that because of pending investigation, they should be able to provide Chairman Comer with any information that he requires.
Hunter Biden was also charged with illegal possession of a firearm. He did not enter a plea on that charge because there's a chance that prosecutors could drop it if he agrees to certain additional terms. Congressman Chris Stewart is talking about who he would like to fill his seat. He's giving an endorsement to Celeste Malloy. Malloy happens to be the congressman's chief legal counsel right now. We've learned Congressman Chris Stewart will be stepping down effective September 15th to take care of family issues. Other national stories KSL is following. Multiple people were killed in their New York City apartments after a fire broke out in a retail store on the ground floor.
The fire started in an e-bike store on the first floor of a 6-story building. The flames, fueled by lithium-ion batteries, spread quickly, killing 4 in apartments upstairs and injuring 2.
This exact scenario where there is an e-bike store on the first floor and residences above, and the volume of fire created by these lithium-ion batteries is incredibly deadly.
Fire Commissioner Laura Kavanaugh said the fast EMS response saved more people. The store had been cited for these violations last year. Brian Clark, ABC News.
Secretary of State Antony Blinken pledging more aid today to Ukraine.
Fresh from his talks in Beijing, Antony Blinken's met with his British counterpart in London. His message, a now familiar one from the administration.
President Biden said from the outset of Russia's aggression against Ukraine that we would stand with Ukraine for as long as it takes, and both of our countries are deeply committed to that.
A new U.S. aid package for Kyiv, he says, to be unveiled here on Wednesday at a Ukraine recovery conference. Tom Rivers, ABC News, London.
First look traffic. Good afternoon, Ricky.
Good afternoon, Maria. We have a nice drive on I-15 and the rest of your Valley freeways, but we do have road work delays again today on Highway 40, and it could be either direction between I-80 and SR 248 in the Park City area, and then more southbound slowdowns approaching after Jordanelle approaching River Road. Ricky Meese in the KSL Traffic Center.
KSL News Time, 12:05.
Boyd Matheson helps you to think about the news differently.
Hunker down in our own little social media bubbles. We can never have a more important conversation.
Join an elevated conversation. Inside Sources from 1 to 3. Then Jeff Kaplan and his Minute of News on the drive home on KSL News Radio.
The biggest RV show in the region is growing. The Utah Summer RV Palooza is back and bringing the heat to Sandy, June 22nd through the 24th. For 3 days only, the shops at Southtown will be packed with the largest selection of new and used RVs in the region. Shop brands like Ember, Forest River, Northwood, and more. You'll even find the hard-to-get GoPlay 26BH bunkhouse travel trailer at a sales price of only $19,995. But that's not all the summer savings we're serving up. Save up to 20% below cost on select new 2022 RVs. Yeah, up to 20% under cost. We're also offering 90 days no payments on approved credit for all play and no pay until September. Plus, right now, we'll trade anything. Bring your trade to the show and we'll hook you up. Don't miss your chance to enter to win a brand new $30,000 RV. No purchase necessary. See rules for details. All during the Utah Summer RV Palooza in Sandy. Only June 22nd through the 24th at the shops at Southtown. Sponsored by Vicious RV.